Welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is?
Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love now.
This might be bad.
But your group has really some characters in it, no?
Ora naħseb.
Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 206 and we're your hosts Jake
And Matt.
here to run you through all the action of Matchday 22 in Serie A.
If my math serves me correct, because I did the calculation and I closed my calculator app, there were 36 goals over the weekend.
Yes.
Jake, which one of these was your goal of the week?
Now this is a very loaded question, my brother, to start off the podcast with, because boy do we have contenders. We've got Morio's first goal against his first goal
Morio.
against Inter. I like Morio though. His first goal against Inter was really nice. He tripped the keeper, took advantage of a summer mistake, of course, but that was a lovely goal, of course. Di Marco's volley against Pisa was amazing, and Boni's goal as well deserves a mention because he totally wiped out two players.
Mm-hmm.
But Torino's goal against Torino was beautiful. Kun's goal against Torino was also beautiful, and Cacare's goal against Torino was also beautiful.
Yes.
The Como show over there. Derun against Parma scored a nice goal as well from outside the area. Ferguson against Genoa had one as well. Malinovsky versus all three goals against Bologna from the Genoa players were contenders.
Yes.
There's Malinovsky, Ekuban and Junior Messias. David and Kostic against Napoli scored nice goals as well. And then Zanoli against Hellas Verona last night, curling the ball with the outside of his foot into the top corner. Bro, honestly, really tough decision. But I think there's one goal over here that isn't very common at all. It's actually a very rare goal.
Yes, I think actually there were a few rare ones. There was who was the Cagliari player that scored that volley?
The Cagliari...
the Genoa player that scored the volley.
The Genoa player scored the volley was Ekuban. Exactly.
Ekuban.
That was on the turn. It was really unique.
That was a very unique goal. But you have to give it to Malinovsky. Malinovsky, firstly, that was the drastic change in the game. That's the bridge before the chorus. You know what I mean? How Skripski comes out, makes that mistake, he gets sent off, but the free kick is so far out. You're like, okay, we got a red card, but let's hold our shape, let's pile men back. Bologna have gotten out of games in that situation. They've still won games with a man down. But Malinovsky steps up from what? 35 yards out, I think. Around
something
30 to 35 yards out.
It was quite a way out, it's true.
Holy fuck, too far for Malinovsky to think about it.
That's a knuckleball, right?
Yes.
It was beautiful. It dipped right at the end underneath the keeper's arms.
Gorgeous.
And Ravaglia hadn't even touched the ball yet. He had just come on. Imagine you coming on, your keeper's just been sent off. The first keeper, you're the sub, you're coming on, you're like, hope this goes well. And the first thing you have to deal with is that.
Malinovsky.
Yeah, Malinovsky's dipping, swaying strike.
Alright, I thought that was going somewhere else. Those of you that are OGs would remember us calling Malinovsky Massive Cocksky, and that is the exact reason why. Nick, give us a scream. United. Another huge win for United.
Dorgo tearing up the Prem.
Nick, come take this wine. Pour yourself.
He's injured apparently, Dorgo now, but he is tearing up the Prem.
Pour yourself some Primitivo.
And if any of your friends say that, these guys, they leave Serie A and they do nothing, remind them that the greatest Premier League player in modern day history, Mohamed Salah, was made in Italy.
Absolutely. I was seeing a video last time. It said Guardiola made Messi. It said Klopp made Salah. I'm like, what the fuck are you actually talking about? Watch that guy at Fiorentina and Roma. Oh my God. But anyway, guys, as always, make sure to stay tuned till the very end of the episode. We promise it won't be 3 hours. For our patron segments, our very special segments. This week, we have a voice note from the very own Matthias, one of the most knowledgeable...
Matusz, he never confirmed.
Yes, I've never seen the U that you mentioned. I still see Matthias, so I'm just going to keep rocking with Matthias.
Okay, I see the U. Huh?
You see the U?
I see the U.
All right, I saw the U when my O-level results came. Like fucking 7 of them. There wasn't a single number on my O-level. All letters, man. But yes, Matthias is going to be educating us a bit on Garibaldi. So those of you that listened to the last episode have noticed that Pisa Stadium is named Stadio Garibaldi, something
Yeah,
of the
the
sort.
Arena Garibaldi, I think.
Yes, and I said, you know who Garibaldi is? Because we play this board game, this football board game called Super Club. And the best player in this is Garibaldi, this player named Garibaldi who has perfect stats all across the board. So he's a cult hero for any of you guys that play Super Club. But we're like, who actually is Garibaldi? Because he definitely wasn't a perfect footballer. So Mattias is here. He's going to educate us a bit on that. And he also watched Udinese Hellas Verona and from a very tactical lens, and he's going to give us a solid breakdown on that as well. We also have our Fantasy League updates and our prediction series for the following week. And that takes me to, brother, I almost had a perfect week. So I beat you, and
Yes,
I'm
you
winning
did.
4-3 now.
Yes, you are. You've overtaken me. But this is where I put my head down and work. And I will make a comeback.
All right. Be careful. Don't put your head down too far, because if the light reflects off of your head, you could cause some damage, brother. Bald brother joke.
Oh yeah, we take it, boys. We move. It's our year.
Yes, we decided this week that I know there was Roma, Milan, and Juve, Napoli that were the two biggest games of the week. We're starting with Inter.
Yes.
Because we like starting from the top and going down. And also just sets the precedent a bit. This was the first game of the weekend that took place. And there's actually quite a bit to talk about over there. So I think we can jump straight into it, brother.
Yes, we can.
Inter 6, Pisa 2. Inter extend their lead at the top of the table to 5 points over Milan, 9 points over Napoli and Roma, and 10 over Juve. They missed Haken, Dumfries and Palacios, and there was some slight rotation because they did have the Tuesday loss to Arsenal in London. Pisa have fallen to last after this loss, coming off an impressive draw to the flying Atalanta. They did, however, still miss Stengs, Albiol, Luzwardi, Quadrado, Vural, and Denoon. Denoon is one that I hadn't heard before. He sounds like the yogurt brand.
He sounds like Daroon, misspelt and mispronounced.
If Daroon was having a morning yogurt, it would be called a Denoon. Or if Daroon wakes up at 12 o'clock sharp, it's Denoon.
Brilliant.
Previous encounter between these two teams was an away victory for Inter with the score of 2-0. So how did these teams line up? Kivu's side lined up in their classic 3-5-2 formation. Sommer in goal, backline of Bastoni, De Vrij and Bissek. Carlos Augusto on the left, Luis Enrique on the right, with a midfield three of Mkhitaryan, Zielinski and Sucic. We had top two of Lautaro Martinez and Francesco Pio Esposito. I say his full name because he definitely deserves us saying his full name every time we mention him.
Yeah.
Because the guy is an absolute fucking beast.
He is a beast.
Pisa, 3-4-2-1 formation, Gilardino's men. Scuffé in goal, backline of Calabresi, Carnestrelli and Coppola, the triple C. Not to be confused with Henry Cejudo, if anyone likes that era of UFC. Touré on the right, Angori on the left, double pivot of Marin and Abusher, with Moreo and Tramoni playing behind the Meister. So Pisa started this game really well. You could see exactly what they were doing defensively and offensively. They kind of got gifted the first goal because Sommer made a horrible error in build-up where he tried to play the ball out of the back. He was well out of his box, gave the ball directly to Moreo, and he dinked him from distance. And then he headed home a corner shortly after, so it was 2-0 for Pisa in the San Siro.
Yes.
23 minutes in. I had predicted that draw, so I was like, oh my god, this might actually be happening.
Yeah. Another summer night at the San Siro, brother.
Only Malta Eurovision.
Yes, this is a
here.
Malta joke here. Yeah, but the way that Pisa started was inspired, and I feel like they were taking advantage of some of the rotation that Kivu had to do, of course. But what I respect Kivu for, and I'm sure you're going to move on to this right now, is how quickly he reacted.
He did.
They didn't even wait till halftime. He was like, we have to fix this right now.
No, immediately after, he takes out Luis Enrique and he brings on DeMarco. And from then on, literally, just from that second, the game completely changed. I'll get into it a little bit tactically, what we noticed when DeMarco came on and what it meant for Pisa's defensive structure. But Zielinski scored a penalty, Lautaro headed in an equalizer, Francesco Pio Esposito completed the turnaround just before halftime with a very towering header.
Powerful,
just
man.
really, really just a great physical presence to have up top. Second half, Inter became like this avalanche. Di Marco scored a volley, Boni scored a brilliant solo goal, and even Henrik Mkhitaryan managed to score. So the final score was 6-2 for Inter after being down 2 goals. It was complete madness, but I do want to start off just immediately with that tactical sub after 30 minutes that completely changed the match. Brother, I just feel like bringing DeMarco on. Firstly, you're bringing on one of the best creative players in the league. No questions asked. He's a left back. He's not marketable, whatever. This guy could very well be the best player in Serie A, in my opinion, and I have no problem saying that as a Milanista. What they got apart from that when coming on is they restored the width that they had as a team. Inter are a very wide team. They love using the wing-backs. The wing-backs weren't being utilized effectively enough. DeMarco offered width, so he was hugging the touchline completely. He brought this aggression with him, and that completely diminished the low block Pisa set up, because suddenly that low block was being stretched
with all the runners running in. Exactly, and taking advantage of the space that's being created. I think the main point that you mentioned over here is the word aggressive. Now, he had to adapt over here, Kivu, and he accepted playing Augusto, shifting him to the other side.
Yeah.
Because, of course, they seem to have a crisis right now with right-footed wing-backs. Of course, Di Marco, as you said, managed to stretch, and I think it's simply because it's not like Henrique is obviously bad. He isn't an obviously bad player when you watch him. It's just that he plays like he's nervous, and he doesn't, and because of that, he's either overly aggressive or not aggressive enough, which is often the case, not aggressive enough, and he's too safe, man.
Yeah.
And when you're too safe against these sides who are playing with nothing to lose, they tend to come out on top of you. And if we know one thing about DeMarco is going to take risks. He's going to try audacious passes, crosses. He's going to get stuck in. He's going to be bold and brave, when he has to be. And I feel like the difference, and then when Henrique went on, was palpable.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me of when they brought. So first, I agree with everything you said. It reminded me, like, I remember, never forget the race, it was Verstappen had started in 20th place because he took some grid penalty, had some car problems or whatever. By the end of the race, he came first because he just needed those 52 laps and he knows he's going to make up the ground. It almost feels like with Inter, if they have the right players on the pitch, they are the Verstappen, they are the Hamilton, they are the ones that can start in 20th place, but the car is so bloody good and the driver is so bloody good that they can get back and not only win the game but dominate the game. Just completely two worlds apart, the first 30 minutes and the latter 60 minutes, and the difference was the impact that DeMarco has on this team. They cannot lose him.
Massive. And in fact, this is a question I have for you coming into this episode. Inter, we've been going on about their depth this season and how quality their depth has been, right?
Yeah.
And how, for example, they've got Sucic, Zielinski and Mkhitaryan. You hardly feel that Çalhanoğlu's out when these guys are ticking. You seem to have a direct replacement for everyone. Of course, there's a problem on the right because of Dumfries' injury. My question is, apart from the front two, do you think that Inter's depth, it makes them weaker around the team? Because I feel like if you line up with Lautaro Esposito or Lautaro Thuram or Lautaro and Boni, at the end of the day you still have a strong attack and you're not losing much as long as Lautaro is a staple over there. And even if they have such different profiles that you can make either combination work, probably. But my question is essentially, like, if Bastoni and DeMarco are injured, or Akanji and DeMarco get injured, you know what I mean? Will Inter potentially lose more points?
Yes, I think so. And I think you could see that literally from the opening 30 minutes in a game at home to Pisa, where you could obviously see chinks in the armor. They didn't just go 2 behind because Pisa were so bloody good. It's because Inter, firstly, they were coming off that game in London against Arsenal, which was a hard-fought loss for Inter. But also the personnel, right? They do have their injuries. So Dumfries is out. DiMarco didn't start this game. Thuram didn't start this game. Okay, like you said, Pio is the perfect replacement. It's within that midfield three and the back three, in my opinion, where things can get really messy if they don't have the right personnel in place. Over
And
here,
the wings, as we've seen.
and to
Because
be fair,
DiMarco is
all
in-
round, you're right, all
Yeah,
round
yeah.
apart from the striker department. But I'm saying this is the base of the team, the middle of the team. These guys, they play, they're the heart and soul of the team. So you've got the three midfielders and the three centre backs. These are the people that occupy the middle of the pitch. They are responsible for the middle of the pitch creatively and even off the ball structurally. They are the ones that need to be in position at the right time to either stretch the opposition or to compress the opposition. And over here, I think we saw the effects of there being no Barella and no Çalhanoğlu. I think those were two huge misses for them. Zielinski and Sucic are technically gifted, but when it comes to linking up play, no one in the team links up play like Barella.
Yeah,
When it comes to, and this is the thing, Çalhanoğlu with his range of passing, with his work rate, he's gotten a lot calmer on the ball when people are pressing him, a lot more press resistant. But for me, one of the biggest losses in this game was the combination of having DiMarco and Hakan out.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys, they're such a cross-heavy team. You need to get the ball into the
Yeah.
box because they've got runners
Fair enough.
everywhere. Those are the guys that put the ball into the box.
Yeah.
So I think a few changes can really diminish how the team plays.
Absolutely. I raised this question, of course, not to take anything away from Inter, because they have looked dominant and they have been smashing everyone in their path right now. However, I'm seeing people already seemingly write off the season and saying like Inter have already got quite a gap from Milan, and it's 5 points, and if those 5 points go up to 8 points all of a sudden, Inter, it's pretty much they're confirmed that to have won the league. And I don't think that's the case. I still think that we're early on enough in the season, 22 points, 22 games played, that fucking anything can happen, you know what I mean?
Completely.
Like, I'm sorry, we've seen teams go on runs where they can't get a fucking win, we've seen top teams go through these things. So I don't think people should think this, to be honest. It's wrong to think this, straight up.
It's absolutely wrong to think this. I think last season is a testament of that. People thought that Inter were going to run away with it last season as well, but Napoli just did enough to stay in the equation. And it's literally the exact same, because Milan are playing one competition, Inter are leading, Inter are competing on all fronts. So did you watch last season or not, is what I would ask
Exactly,
people that believe that. With that being said, I don't think Inter have one hand on the trophy, but I can't see Inter losing a game against any other team other than Milan, Napoli and Juve. I see them winning every other single game that they play because they're so dominant.
I agree if they're fully fit, but look at what randomly happened to Napoli. Napoli were in Scudetto contention up until a few weeks ago, and suddenly injuries out of nowhere, like the plague coming in, the bubonic plague has arrived, everyone's down, even Vanya's out now. You know what I mean? And suddenly they're written off. The same could easily happen to Inter. They're playing a lot of competitions. They're not the youngest team in the world. You know what I mean? Suddenly you could get 2-3 injuries that really affect the consistency of the team. They'll still be good, but then you just can't expect them to win every game like when they're fully fit.
No, completely agreed.
But
completely
we will see, of course. I think they do have the best chance right now. Of course, they're playing with this mentality that's second to none, of course, and bar Juve and Milan, I struggle to see them dropping points, like you said, because they seem to be reliable against anyone else.
So dominant. Now, of course, the next 2 weeks are going to be telling. Inter have 2 away fixtures, Milan have 2 home fixtures, both kind of against minnow sides. I know there's a Sassuolo away game for Inter.
Sassuolo, Cremonese, and then Juve, I believe.
I just don't see them losing to Sassuolo or Cremonese, for example.
We never do, but they tend
Cremonese
to.
are on a huge
Sassuolo,
free
right?
fall at the moment. We'll get into it soon. Sassuolo
Yeah.
finally got a game after a 7 game run without a win. But anyway, one more talking point on Inter, and I'd want to jump to Pisa if that's okay. Sommer, obviously, he made the mistake for the first goal, and Sommer has also made many more mistakes than usual throughout the majority of the season. Very soft goalkeeping, and now you can see that even with the ball at his feet, where you want an experienced goalkeeper like Sommer, he's also fucking it up. So you do need to look elsewhere. It doesn't look like Josip Martinez is going to be starting games anytime soon, and I think they must not believe in him so much, not think that he's ready. Inter need a new goalkeeper. No, and I mean, it's the 27th of January. I don't see them signing a goalkeeper in January, right?
Here comes that summertime sadness, brother.
My God, that's summertime.
I don't see. I haven't heard anything about. So first of all, I find it very strange that Martinez hasn't been given a chance after Sommer's poor form. I understand that you want to back your players, but you have a keeper who's very capable on the bench, who has impressed when he has played for Inter. Granted, whatever happened to him this season, but it seems to me right now that by not playing Martinez, you are showing that you don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sommer isn't trustworthy, and you insist on playing him over the guy who's on the bench, and the guy on the bench has proved to be very capable, and it's just bizarre to me how they're not starting him. Now, there are links going around with certain goalkeepers.
Onana is being mentioned.
Onana,
He'd be an easier one to sign because he's, I think, at Trabzonspor.
Dibu, bro,
like
is
that.
being mentioned. Dibu Martinez.
Dibu would fit them like a glove.
He would,
huh?
he totally
He's
would
an
fit
asshole,
them.
huh?
Yeah. I would love to have him in Serie A. Hate to have him at Inter personally,
I know.
but he would be good. I think he would be. He would complement their team.
Yes, I think so as well. So I think there's 4 days left of the market. Inter should be looking to sign a goalkeeper now, in my opinion. If they're not gonna show faith in Josip Martinez, are they just gonna rock with Sommer all season? And this is the thing: Inter know how important a goalkeeper is, because when they gifted the league to Milan in 2022. It was a Radu error,
exactly.
because they didn't have sufficient depth in goal, you know. So Inter for sure know that this is a situation. It's just interesting how they haven't addressed it yet. Just gonna jump to Pisa real quick. Great start by Gilardino's men. Take nothing away from them. The preparation was perfect. I just thought that Kivu's in game management and then was top notch. Now they're still on 1 win in Serie A all season, and I think that came over Cremonese. So a team they know very well, because, you know, they finished second and Cremonese went up through the playoffs last season. They're winless in 4 months. Gilardino's future. I think, regardless.
But they're winless in it's true. 4 months was
4
it?
months. 1 win so far. They're in serious trouble.
But they don't lose many games, which is well, they lose many games, okay, but they draw a lot. Is my point.
They do draw. A lot.
The problem is that yes, they don't win enough, and that is a serious problem. However, right now they are still within touching distance. So if they like what they're seeing with Gilardino, and they feel like there could be improvements, perhaps with a few personnel changes now that's the window. I think personally, Gilardino has shown enough to be trusted with a window. I don't think a manager can come in and immediately do better with this Pisa team than what Gilardino has done so far. I think they're getting better. Even you watch them.
For the future, I think Gilardino is the man for Pisa. I don't think, like you're saying, I don't think they can find someone that can undertake this project and find much more success than him at this point. At least from what I've seen, I think, right?
Yeah.
But they could very much go down the route where they go, look, we cannot get relegated. There are certain candidates that come to mind to help them avoid relegation. Cremonese aren't doing too well at the moment. They let go of Nicola. Pisa should be all over that fucking shit.
If they part ways with him, then maybe. But I genuinely think that they're backing him.
And as I would.
And you know,
if
you look in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in the last 8 games, they lost once, Pisa.
Oh wow,
that's quite mental. Granted, They won one only. The others are all draws, you know. But this might be something positive starting because they're cutting the rails.
Man, 2 wins, 3 wins, and you know it changes your season for good. These are the margins we're talking about. This is why I hate motherfuckers that say Inter have one hand on the trophy, Inter are gonna win it. Fucking Napoli are out of the title race. This team is definitely down. Fiorentina now definitely won't get relegated.
I was a little bit scrolled. That stat isn't totally accurate, but there was a phase when that was true. I was scrolled down.
Insane.
So sorry about that. Just to be clear, they actually they have racked up a few L's recently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the last 7 games. They've lost 3 times. The rest were all draws.
Yeah,
exactly.
not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yes, sorry about that.
Not bad for the personnel, right?
Pisa have only ever beaten Inter once, by the way, and it came on the 6th of March 1983, 1-0, and it was a game decided by a Giampiero Marini own goal.
Okay, Giampiero Marini, you've made history. Just to touch on one more thing regarding Pisa, that is of course Moreo. Moreo is no new kid on the block. He's been everywhere. He's 6'3". He's fairly 2-footed. He's an attacking midfielder that can also play as a target man. He's known for his aerial prowess, obviously, his flick-ons and how he links up play between midfield and attack. He came up through the ranks at Milan. He was at Milan's youths. Then he went to Cremonese, Varese, Virtus Entella, Teramo, Venezia, Palermo, Empoli, Brescia, Pisa. Now that is a story that I like. You could see here, this is what it's like for the hustlers, for the hustle players that start to make it towards the end of the career. Look at this. Cremonese, Varese, Virtus Entella, Teramo, Venezia, Palermo, Empoli, Brescia, Pisa.
Yeah, that's
growth.
That's quite the path, huh?
That is growth, and no shortcuts for Moreo.
And no favors.
No favors. The goal that he scored, it gave me too much of Ilicic, man. That chip, chip, how he ran to the ball and just with his, I believe it was left-footed.
Yeah, even the fact that he's 6'3", he strikes the ball quite well, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got quite a bit of technique for someone so tall. So.
He does.
So there were definitely shades.
Inter, of course, remain first. They're on 52 points. Like I said, they're 5 points over Milan. On the complete other end of the spectrum, Pisa are in last on 14 points. However, they are level on points with Verona, who are in 19th. And, just 4 points behind Lecce, who are in 17th at the moment.
Yeah, just 2 more stats to ease the transition. Might as well not waste them. So I told you that the last time Pisa beat Inter, and the only time, was in 1983. Pisa have not won a Serie A away match since the 24th of March 1991 when they beat Parma. Yes, to be fair, they've hardly been in the division.
Yes,
but it's still some time ago.
Yeah,
and also shout out to Lautaro Martinez, who has matched last season's goal tally. As last season he only scored 12 goals in Serie A. Yeah,
go Lautaro, well done, man.
Shout out to our new patrons.
Oh my god.
We forgot to mention you at the start, but don't worry, now's your time. Daryl Caruana and Jonathan Goldsmith, welcome to the family. Welcome. We love to have you.
Fuck yes.
Thank you for your support. We appreciate you. Daryl Caruana is a Juve fan. Okay, so love to have that in the chat. More of those. And Jonathan Goldsmith is a Genoa fan.
Now,
so
that's cool.
He's our first Genoa fan in the chat. So
congratulations. I can't wait for his voice note. He's definitely going to have one because, of course, if you become a patron, we can play your voice note on our episode. So I look forward to doing that, Mr. Goldsmith.
Exactly, yes. So in the 9... So yes, let's talk about Roma 1, Milan 1, right? And to set up some context here, in the last 9 matches in Rome between Milan and Roma, both teams have scored. So there were 13 goals for Roma and 12 for Milan in the last 9 games at the Olimpico between these two teams.
Jesus, bro, where were you last fucking Sunday or Saturday? Right? 3 glasses of wine deep. Could have made some money.
Yes. Yes, so let's go through the lineups very quickly before we get to the talking points and that very difficult first half that Milan had.
Yes.
Svilar was in goal for Roma as they lined up in their 3-4-2-1 system with Mancini, Indica and Gilardi playing at the back. An impressive trio, to be honest, very impressed by them, particularly Gilardi has really impressed me lately. And even Indica, man, I just find that he's so effective when he goes forward. His composure is he's so composed, man. He played with that dinked ball to Milan at one point, really nice. Celik and Wesley were out wide on the flanks with Cristante and Kone playing in the middle and Dybala and Sule playing off the shoulders of Malen. For Milan, it was Magnan in goal in a 3-5-2 formation with De Winter, Gabbia and Tomori at the back, Bartesaghi on the left, Salamakers on the right with Rabiot, Modric and Ricci in the middle, and Leao and Nkunku playing together up front. So Roma started like a team that wanted to make a statement, in my opinion. They started immediately, the first 20 seconds game, and Malen had already tested Magnan. Roma pressed high, they played vertically, and they tried to overwhelm Milan early in typical Gasperini fashion, right? Dybala did very well to move between the lines. Sule and Malen were attacking the half spaces, and it felt like it was wave after wave after wave. But
slowly drifting.
Milan were happy to suffer. They were compact, they remained patient, they didn't even pretend to want to attack, I felt. And I don't know if this is a combination of the fact that Leao at the moment is playing with something in his pubes,
some
inflammation in the pubic region.
He has a razor bump.
He's got an ingrown hair.
No. It sounds like it's really pestering him.
Exactly.
And the pubic region, that's where when you lift your leg to run, it's almost on that kind of groin area right above it, man. It must be frustrating.
So of course Milan have to rely, if they're going to play Allegri ball, they obviously are, because Allegri is the coach. They're going to absorb and give the opponent this false sense of security. This is the idea, right?
Yes.
This sense that we are safe to commit the fullbacks, we're safe to play a higher line, and you hit them on the break with a fit Leao, and that's a bit of a different story. I feel like right now teams can get away with attacking Milan because in transition Pulisic is out, Fulkrug has arrived and he's still getting fit and he's playing with a broken toe. Nkunku is a little bit too self-aware right now, I think, you know what I mean. Leao, again, problems with his pubes. So right now I think you can attack Milan and not have to worry too much about the break as you would when they are in their peak.
Absolutely.
So this was very evident in the first half, because who emerged as the hero over here? Mike Money.
Magic Mike,
who has been fucking unbelievable.
He's been unreal.
He's been sensational.
But every game he produces a save where I go, I think that's the best save I've ever seen from Magnan.
This game, I think it was the save on Celik in the first half.
This.
Yes, man.
When the reactions on that, okay, he just had to move his arm up. I bet you fucking the top 10 goalkeepers in the world, maybe 2-3 would have saved that. It was unbelievable, man. To be honest, spectacular save
incredible
by Mike, man.
He had double saves, point blank reactions, legs, hands, everything you can imagine he was using. Roma created enough, to be honest, to go ahead, but they lacked that killer touch, and I think the worst miss of them all was Malen's. It was the biggest, it was the clearest opportunity, because the others were all kind of awkward. The Celik one, seemed to be going in, but the shot was quite central, and it was from such close range that Magnan had to react so quickly. But that Malen shot, he should have totally hit the target, and had he hit the target, they would have probably scored. Yeah. That's how it goes. The second half shifted slightly. Salamakers couldn't continue. I think he had taken a bit of a knock, or he wasn't 100% fit. But it has to be mentioned as well that he was getting absolutely bullied out wide by Wesley, and that the environment was very hostile, and it seemed to be affecting him quite negatively as well.
So Salamakers, just to be clear, he went off injured in the last game. He took a really weird bobble to his knee. We looked at that and we're like, brother, that does not look good. So he wasn't fully fit. He was doubtful for this game. Last game that he played against Roma, because obviously we initially thought that he was getting booed because he was at Roma for a season on loan, and I'm like, surely you don't boo a player that was loaned at your club and he rejoined his parent club.
And
It's just not
yeah,
what you do.
Yeah.
But
He did
then-
well at Roma. They actually quite liked him.
Exactly. But it was because when he played Roma last, after just rejoining his parent club from Roma, he was an absolute twat. And he was bullying Wesley.
At one point, he won a duel. Salamakers was on the floor and Wesley went to like provoke him. He stuck his tongue out after. It was absolutely brilliant.
So they really let him
Yes.
have it, and you can tell he was making mistakes. He was misplacing passes. It got to him.
Yeah, it definitely did. And then the Milan Classic happened. There was one moment, one corner, and this was literally the first chance Milan had, I think, from a tame shot. That came after a tame shot from distance that came from Rabiot.
Yeah,
You
yes.
remember that low shot?
dragged wide.
It wasn't a great shot.
Yeah.
But this was the first real chance, to be honest. Milan played the corner short. It was a 1-2 between Bartezaghi and Modric. Modric curled it in perfectly, and De Winter was there to head it home.
Yep.
The newspapers had a lot of fun with their puns here. You know, in
Cold the winter.
cold the winter, not cold enough to put out the Roma fire. So against the
The
run of
Winter
play,
Olympics.
1-0, and Roma they stayed calm. They kept pushing, and eventually the pressure told. There was a handball. A cross came in that was quite close to Bartezaghi, to be fair to Bartezaghi, but his left arm, the cross was coming in from Bartezaghi's right, his left arm was a little bit outstretched and it slapped his hand. Clear penalty over there. Just a little bit unlucky for Bartezaghi, and you can't take it too personally with him. And there's actually a stat that shows that Milan are the team that have conceded the most penalties in Serie A. They've conceded 7. Second are Napoli and Udinese. Now, I have a theory that it's because they commit so many men back. Milan, so just having more bodies in the box.
They have,
You have a higher chance of
They've got two
of a
hands
limb
each.
being hit. Exactly. Especially when you think about the fact that many of these centre-backs are quite inexperienced. Many of these players.
Yes.
And, we know Estupinian jumps like this.
Like we
he's
know
a cheerleader.
we know Tomori has
He's-
hot-headed
Yeah.
moments. De
Bartezaghi's
Winter
young,
also likes
Pavlovic
using
first
his
full
hands.
season in Serie A, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
bound to happen. But anyway, yes, Pellegrini stepped up. Of course, Dybala had his save in the previous fixture, had his penalty saved in the previous fixture by Magnan. So this time it was Pellegrini who stepped up, and he looked calm and he looked stoic, man.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like the pressure wasn't getting to him, and that's unlike Pellegrini, because Pellegrini has been an emotionally and mentally, sorry to say, but fragile player over the years, who has had to be rediscovered because of his confidence had dipped so low. But it's nice to see. This was a massive mental hurdle. The Milan players were literally like doing their best to throw him off, and this is one of the greatest changes I've noticed from Milan last season to this season.
Yes.
It's this cattiveria, man. This street smart,
takes.
this knowledge. Yes, they will literally kick the spot, and at what this referee was being a little bit strange. He was getting a bit too close to the Milan players, and Magnan kind of like lashed out at the referee before Pellegrini actually took the penalty. I think these would all be psychological games that Milan would be playing there, and to throw him off.
Absolutely.
To suddenly make him complain, or to shift his attention to, hey, that's a red card, or don't touch, you're gonna let him touch. You know what I mean?
What a fucking penalty it was. By
What a
Pellegrini.
penalty, and
Perfect.
Magnan tracked it. Of course he did. He's a cyborg right now, and
Fingertips,
this
man.
much fingertips. That's it.
Fingertips.
But what a penalty! When you shoot it hard, it's gonna go in.
Power, precision,
Yes,
man.
we saw it with Nkunku's as well. He took one of the
Mm-hmm.
shittest penalties ever, and he scored it. Right?
Yeah.
Who was that against? Hellas Verona, I think. Yes, Hellas Verona. I think.
Probably.
So after that, it flattened out, to be honest. I think Roma were fatigued, and Milan, I think, were happy to protect the draw. There were some moments where Milan looked like they could even potentially go for a counter-attack, but they decided to manage the game a little bit instead. I think Milan would be happy to get a point away from home at Roma. What do you think?
I think Milan have 4 points against Roma this season, because the perfect scenario would be 6. But the way that the game was played, I think, look, I'm seeing a lot of people not counting out Milan, but saying that Milan were insanely lucky to get anything out of this game, because Roma were so superior in the first half. then again, so were bloody Lecce against Milan. To this degree, the amount of attacks wave after wave that Roma were producing, it's true. Milan were getting completely dominated, but Milan didn't concede in the first half, and that is Allegri ball. That is Allegri ball. That is this strategy that the manager implemented for this game is, look, go out there, don't concede a goal. I want you to play safe for the first half. In the second half, we'll make the necessary tweaks, or we'll find our moments, and we'll get the goal. Don't worry, the goal will come. But for the first half, don't go out there and concede 2 minutes in. Don't go out there and concede 5 minutes in.
And don't go out there and exhaust yourselves. The whole idea of playing low is for the opposition to do the running, right?
Yeah.
To have to cover more ground and commit themselves. And essentially, it's a way of breaking down your opponent physically and psychologically, because they're not getting anywhere.
Exactly.
Imagine Roma must have been so fucking frustrated when that goal went in by the winter.
Of course.
Because what else are you gonna do?
They
threw the fridge at the wall.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. But
Yeah.
this is the same thing. The same thing we spoke about last week when Fabregas wasn't happy with how Milan played, and it's like, that's not football. This is football. Congratulations to some other people that have now fallen into the category of they just want pretty football and no effectiveness. I think Milan did ridiculously well. That Roma were so superior in the first half. Roma, bless them, they played with a high line, high press. Milan couldn't spend a second on the ball because they were being overwhelmed by Roma. Roma weren't good enough to score in the first half. Milan went out there, got the goal, and then you could say luck wasn't on Milan's side, and then because the penalty was a clumsy handball by the 19-year-old wing-back.
Yeah.
So who's the lucky one here? Who's the unlucky one here is my question.
I forgot who it was who was interviewed after the game. Definitely Allegri said something. By the way, Allegri and Gasperini, mutual respect. Love to see it. They faced each other so many times. They've been around for so long, bro. We're talking like the likes of Allegri at Sassuolo and Gasperini at Genoa. Crazy. But they did say that had Roma not got that penalty, the next team to most likely score would have been Milan. Because Roma would have overcommitted. They were already struggling to get anything past Magnan and past the defense, and gaps were starting to appear. Yeah. So of course, it's some people might be thinking, but if my granddad had wheels, he would have been a bicycle. You know what I mean, and all that shit. But it is very telling that it took a penalty to unlock this Milan team. Yeah.
And that's the frustrating reality that Allegri ball offers. I've heard other people say that it's not sustainable. To that I reply, Milan have only lost the first game of the season. Bless you, Nick. The first game of the season against Cremonese. Of course, there were other games where they should have done much better.
Yes. And is this sustainable? Is it not? This is year one of a new project. Last season, Milan were dreadful. Not only did their position on the table not only was it not acceptable, but like the way the team played and the fact, I don't know if you remember, bro, Milan would go behind and there was no chance of them coming back. You remember how mentally fragile Milan were last season?
Milan last season only won comebacks, but you're saying under Fonseca, under Conceição, Milan would only win when they went the goal down.
Yes. But then under Conceição, and then they just stopped at one point. They were drawing, they were dropping points.
Sure. The last game of the season
they
was
seemed indifferent, totally. And Milan this season in Europe's top 5 leagues, where's that godforsaken stat? In Europe's top 5 leagues this season, Milan are on the longest unbeaten run with 21 games, which is impressive.
Seems pretty sustainable.
Exactly. And this is with one market. Okay, 1.5 because we're in January. But I think if you give Allegri more weapons, more counter-attacking weapons, and if you manage to get another centre-back, because right now Milan are playing with inexperienced defenders.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I like them, don't get me wrong, I like them, but they are inexperienced. And imagine you manage to land Gila from Lazio, what they're talking about.
It's a game changer.
He's unbelievable.
It's a game changer.
When he's on form this season at the start, Gila was magnificent. I think he was the best defender in the league for the first few match days. Yes. So just some more stats. By the way, I mentioned Allegri and Gasperini, bro. They have faced off 31 times, to be precise.
Christ.
Allegri beat him 14 times, Gasperini beat him 6 times, and there have now been 11 draws.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought with Roma, I thought they set up really well for this game in order to like counter how deep Milan sit, etc. with their high press, the high defensive line, and that's how they managed to overwhelm Milan. Unfortunately for them, Malin is great in certain areas when it comes to running, attacking the channels, which is something that Roma missed over the past few weeks. Solan Dybala, picking him out, etc. But against the defensive trident of Milan, he didn't find much space, and when he did, unfortunately, he missed a sitter. But the guy that I mainly want to highlight over here, I want to highlight 2 things. I want to highlight Manu Kone.
He went off injured.
In that double pivot, he did go off injured. Seems like a hamstring problem. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. The amount of running and compensation this guy does for being in a double pivot with Cristante is ridiculous. And he's very impressive at it. I just think he needs a better partner than Cristante. I thought Cristante had a good game.
Cristante had a great game.
He had a very good game. But I think long term, again, I just thought this guy was dragged through hell in this game.
Yeah.
But I really want to highlight Gilardi. Really want to highlight Gilardi because Gilardi is a young guy. How old is Gilardi? Early 20s?
He must
maybe
be
19.
23.
He's 23. Okay, I believe he was signed from
Hellas Verona, if I'm not mistaken,
right?
Yes. Previously also on loan at Sampdoria.
Yes. Gilardi in this game, apart from firstly, Roma have the best defense in the league. Roma have had the best defense in the league with the defensive trident of Mancini, Indica and Hermoso. Hermoso's out injured, so they replace him with Gilardi, this young centre-back that they brought on that had a slow start to life at Roma. Jesus Christ, are you trying to fuck me, man? How much wine that is?
Christ, you see what I have to deal with, guys.
Vulgar. So Gilardi has now clearly, in this game he found his feet. What I want you to do, bro, is open up his heat map of this game, because in the game we pointed out how high up is Gilardi.
Even in Dika. This is a Gasperini system, right?
Yes, of course. But then defensively, defensive contributions, 9. Tackles 1, 3. Interceptions 2. Clearances 2. Blocked shots 1. Recoveries 6. Ground duels 1. 4. He made 3 fouls and he got dribbled past only once.
Does it show? Nick, does it show?
Yeah.
Okay, that's his heat map.
Maybe a bit closer.
Fantastic.
Editing. Incredible. Yes, whatever. It was in the center of the pitch more often than not, yes.
Yes.
But he was all over the place. He did have touches inside the opposition area, on the other side of the pitch completely. So, yeah, he was everywhere, to be honest.
Yes, sir.
But yes, it is always Evan who impresses me. And Celik nowadays has really upped his game as well.
Zeki boy.
Gasperini has literally turned him into Hans Hatteber.
literally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Shall we jump to Juve Napoli? Where are they in the table?
You don't know, man. I thought you supported Milan.
This guy.
Milan are second with 47 points, while Roma are third with 43 points.
Now level on points with Napoli, right?
Indeed, they are. And with Juve 1 point behind, lurking.
And then
Como on 6 with 40 points.
My God. Really heating up in that race for top 4. Speaking of, we now have Juve Napoli, the team that are tied, Napoli, with Roma and Juve, who are just 1 point behind them. This was a huge 3-0 victory for Juve. Firstly, 3 points over the champions, 3 points over... At this rate, Napoli and Roma are their main competition for top 4. If we're saying that Milan and Inter are guaranteed, which technically I'm not, but that's the way the league is shaping up right now, those are their 2 main rivals for top 4. And Juve not only beat Napoli, but they absolutely schooled the struggling team.
They did. Shall I add some context about Conte and Spalletti before we start?
Please.
Because Conte and Spalletti were both the exes of the day. Of course, Conte, those of you who don't remember, maybe you're just a bunch of spring chickens listening to this on your Bluetooth headphones, that have noise cancelling inbuilt inside.
Fucking grandpa.
All that stuff. Conte played for Juve from 1991 to 2004 and actually made 295 appearances for them, scoring 29 goals in Serie A. He won 5 titles as a player, 1 Coppa Italia, 4 Supercoppa Italianas, 1 Champions League, 1 UEFA Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, and 1 Intercontinental Cup, all as a player, right?
Beast.
As a manager, of course, then he joined Juve from 2011 to 2014, where he racked up 102 wins, 34 draws and 15 defeats in 151 games. He won 3 Scudetti in a row and 2 Italian Super Cups. Meanwhile, Spalletti, of course, managed Napoli from 2022 to 2024, and in his second year, he won Napoli their 3rd ever Scudetto, and the first one ever without Maradona. 96 games managed, 62 wins, 17 draws, and 17 defeats. Absolutely insane.
Of course.
What a clash.
Spalletti, currently managing Juve, has a Napoli tattoo, and he's an honorary citizen of Naples as well.
Yes.
I didn't particularly take notice of, Juve were home. I'd love to see what the reception would be like, but we'll see.
They were, look, it seems like they have mutual respect for each other. They understand that Conte is a mercenary type manager.
Mm-hmm.
He will always take the best job that is available. And towards the end, they had a bit of fun with him. They were saying, Conte, salta con noi. Jump with us. So they're jumping for the win, and they're like, come on, we're winning. Jump with us, Conte.
That's sweet. Brilliant. Thank you, brother, for the context. Now you know, context.
Conte X.
The context. After Juve's league loss to Napoli in December, they went on a 6-match unbeaten run, which only stopped last week by a shocking loss to Pisacane's Cagliari. Here they missed Vlahovic, Milik, Rugani and Ruhi. Despite coming off a win against Sassuolo, Napoli are struggling to keep up. That is 3 draws in their last 5 and now a loss, a dire situation in the Champions League and an injury crisis that sees them missing Anguissa, KDB, Gilmore, Rahmani, Politano, Neres and Vanya. The previous encounter between these two sides was a 2-1 Napoli win, and it was at the start of Spalletti's tenure. I believe it was his second game. 3-4-2-1 formation for Spalletti's Juve. Di Gregorio in goal. I'm saying that Spalletti's Juve over and over again to ingrain it in my head, because I can't get used to that. Spalletti is the coach of Juve and Conte is the coach of Napoli. So
how incestuous the coaching situation is, eh?
It's like a group of friends, like your first friend group at high school, like when you're 16 and there's like 4 girls, 4 guys. They've all fucking touched each other, man. Every single one.
So go on Matthew's Facebook.
They've all done.
Go on his
hand
albums
stuff.
from back in the day and find the groups.
We were all doing hand stuff. Di Gregorio in goal. Backline of Lloyd Kelly, Bremer and Kalulu. Cambiaso on the left, McKennie on the right. Double pivot of Thuram and Locatelli. Yildiz and Conceição playing behind David. 3-4-2-1 formation also for Conte's men. Meret in goal. Backline of Di Lorenzo, Juan Jesus and Buongiorno. Gutierrez was on the right, Spinazzola on the left, double pivot of Lobotka and McTominay. Here's where it gets weird. Elmas and Vergara playing behind Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah.
Juve came out aggressive in the start of the game. They were pressing high and they immediately, you could see Napoli started to feel uncomfortable instantly, especially in the build-up phase. Locatelli and Thuram were winning second balls constantly. Napoli struggled to progress through Lobotka, who was boxed in every single time he received the ball. It's almost like Spalletti knows how important Lobotka is to Napoli. Early warning signs, and then when Thuram rattled the post from the edge of the area, Napoli were already creaking. The breakthrough came when Locatelli floated a clever ball over the defense, and David, this was great by David, because we highlight when David is shit. This was, I feel like a lot of people would overlook this goal. He out-muscled Spinazzola and cleanly finished with a finish across the goal to make it 1-0.
Locatelli's pass was really nice as well.
Locatelli gave like a heel pass,
Yeah,
like it was in
beautiful.
the air, and he kind of volley-heeled it, if that's a thing. Into the path of David. The ball was like between David and Spinazzola. David got there first and out-muscled him, and then just a clean finish with bodies all around him. It was impressive by David, a really well-taken goal. Juve made it 2 shortly after when Yildiz played Juve almost made it 2 shortly after when Yildiz played a brilliant ball through to Conceição. Yildiz just touches the ball, and all of a sudden Conceição there's nobody around him, and he's face-to-face with the goalie. Finishes well, but Buongiorno clears the ball off the line expertly, bro.
Yeah.
Really, really well done to Buongiorno. Then the game turned on a Napoli mistake. Juan Jesus squared the ball carelessly to Miretti. Miretti played the ball to Yildiz, and Yildiz just simply doesn't miss from there, does he? He finished so coolly to make it 2-0. Puts no power in his finishes, Yildiz. He just I need to get it past the keeper. That's all. Okay, this is gonna... Oh, shit. I'm gonna forget this for sure.
Nick, you have to make sure it's correct because I can't see it from here. He's gonna try to do the Yildiz star.
Is it? Oh,
He's got special gloves. You've seen them.
completely fucking it.
Christ, bro, you're cracking under pressure. Huh?
This. Okay, so this. Oh,
there we go. He's got it. Is that it? I doubt that's it.
yeah, it's it.
Is it? You've got it? Let's see. Let's see. Show it to me.
What do you mean?
There it is. Starboy. Beautiful. There we go. Yeah, perfect. He's got it.
I'm a motherfucking star boy. Anyway, from there, Napoli collapsed mentally, right? The second goal went in, Napoli cooked. Their clearances became panicked. The midfield spacing was disappearing. McTominay was running there, and Lobotka was exhausted. And Juve started attacking in waves pretty much. And then the third came when there was another Napoli scramble when they failed to clear properly. The ball fell to Kostic, and Kostic lashed a low drive from distance past the stranded keeper into his near post. Juve managed the final minutes without drama. Napoli finished with just 1 shot on target. This was a very impressive win by Juve, who, let's be honest, they smelt blood. They know Napoli are in crisis right now. They have a must-win Champions League game coming up. They have 3 draws in their last 5 games. People aren't really considering them title contenders anymore. This was Juve's opportunity to make a statement, no?
Yes, as the women on X say, Spalletti ate this game, bro. It was a tactical masterclass. He totally got one over Conte, in my opinion, because he came out, he mirrored his formation. He knew fully well that they were going through an injury crisis and had a makeshift kind of system that was literally designed to accommodate Neres and Politano out wide on the wings. That's why the 3-4-3 was so good. But if you're missing Neres and Politano and you've just sold Lang, that leaves literally like 2 wingers who aren't exactly ideal. Vergara obviously only coming into the 11 recently, and Elmas not being your traditional kind of winger. Or maybe not because of that, because he hasn't done it very much recently. Let's be real. He's been playing in the middle of the pitch for a while.
If you play Elmas, but you still have Neres, you're fine. Because there were even claims that Elmas is better than Lang in that role, for example. But it's the Elmas Vergara.
Yeah.
They are responsible for putting the ball on the plate for
Yes,
Højlund.
and I like the players, don't get me wrong, but they're not exactly prolific goal scorers. So that literally limited the Napoli goal scorers to Højlund and McTominay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And McTominay, for that reason, he was completely
boxed
marked
in.
out of the game. Lobotka was completely marked out of the game. They were boxing him in.
And Bremer handled Højlund beautifully as well. I thought McKennie was once again absolutely beautiful, incredible. Out of possession, he was man marking Spinazzola and totally dealt with him. And in possession, he would cut inside, come a little bit inside, and play and help the midfield link up very well. But yes, I thought that this was a literal masterclass by Spalletti.
Yes, when it comes to the formation that you've opted for, of course, I did read out a 3-4-2-1 formation, which was the formation that he played, but off the ball, it tended to morph into a 4-4-2 formation. Why? To kill Napoli's wide overlaps. And that is when it's important to have a seasoned manager like Spalletti, because he makes these adjustments and they're just it works wonders, right? Massive praise to Spalletti. I think I'm glad Spalletti had another peak, because it's like Italy would be the peak job, and he took it at 65, 66 years old. So we're like, he's gonna do great with Italy, and then he's gonna call it a day. That's the feeling I got. He didn't do well at Italy, so now he came in to the biggest job you can probably take in Italy, Juve. It's the most cutthroat, same owners since the fucking 20s or since the fucking founding days, with Fiat and Ferrari. So he's entered this environment, the environment that sacked Motta, that sacked Tudor, that sacked everyone except for, well, they even sacked Allegri. And he's doing well. I say, A, renew him. Make sure that he's going to stay there past this season, because clearly he's doing a good job, and he really turned Juve's fortunes. He's making this 11 look way better than it actually is. There's the same 11 that have Cope Miners, who wasn't doing well, with Lloyd Kelly. These guys were memes, and then Spalletti came in. And B, I had a B over here, or a number 2. It was...
So the number 1 was renew him.
Number 1 was renew him. That should have been number 2, because now I got confused, because I had this rehearsed in my head. Number 2 is... that Spalletti, forget it, it'll come to me.
Okay.
Now I want to praise David. So I praised Spalletti. Now I want to praise David, because this was an important goal. It was a goal in a real 6-pointer, a goal against the champions. He took it really well, and now suddenly, bro, these aren't staggering numbers, right? But these all came recently. 4 goals and 3 assists in Serie A, 2 goals, 1 assist in the Champions League.
Yeah, he's adapting.
Picking up,
he's
man.
picking up, and it's not a coincidence that he started to pick up the moment he started to get consistent minutes, and it wasn't, one striker every other week, like, you know what I mean? Like, Tudor was rotating 3 strikers in one position every week,
You know what he attributes it to? The missed penalty. He said
he thinks it made him stronger.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, we grow from our errors.
That's it. If that's Jonathan David's story,
exactly.
It's Jonathan David's story.
I was very intrigued to see Lukaku coming on, and happy to see that he's still wearing his Timberland.
Yes. So
he had the best chance that they had.
That is the only pro Napoli can take from this game is Lukaku's back. In the same vein, he had a bit of not a shocker when he came on.
He had one of those weird finishes. Exactly.
One of those weird finishes. The ball was kind of bouncing off him. He wasn't controlling it and holding it up the way he typically does. But that was pretty much the only positive for Napoli in this game. I mean, it's an injury crisis. I thought Vergara had decent moments. At a point, he forced a counter-attack and he drew a yellow card for his opponent. That was pretty good. But that's as much as you're going to get from Vergara on a stage like this at this point. But they just couldn't. They simply couldn't escape the Juve press. And now they're in a bit of a situation, because now they have the Champions League. And if they don't beat Chelsea, they are out of the Champions League in its entirety. A 24-team format, as in a format where 24 teams go through. Napoli probably aren't going to be one of them.
Terrible, eh? That's ass. I can't see them beating Chelsea, to be honest with you.
Not even me.
Obviously, anything can happen, but I can't see it happening.
Even though they have that cringe bucket at Chelsea as a manager. Manage
that guy, bro.
Manage age.
You age men.
Age men.
If you're a manager, you age men.
God, man.
Sure.
Okay.
I see what he's trying to do, but I think you need to You need to be a very elite level manager to say shit like that.
And he needs to make sure he's not being too cringe, bro, because God.
He's very outspoken. He's a bit of a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
Fair.
So Napoli have now made it 3 in a row without scoring against Juve. The last goal that they actually did score against Juve came in the 90th minute in a match 1-0 in 22-23, and it was scored by Raspadori.
Wait, you're saying Napoli haven't scored against Juve in 3 games?
Have made it 3 games in a row without scoring versus Juve. Napoli.
But they won 2-1 in the reverse fixture.
Probably in their stadium. In their stadium. This must
right.
be exactly. I feel like it would have been great if they mentioned it in the stat. But yes, in their stadium, exactly. Yes, so in their stadium. Juve have the most different goal scorers this season.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
well, considering Adzic scored a screamer at a point.
16 men have scored for Juventus.
And who was she? Bonnie Blue?
And to be honest, you can see that there's a very good atmosphere going on at Juve, and you can see it with how they always celebrate as a group. And I don't know what they're doing. They're sipping tea all together. Yeah, they're all doing the Yildiz together. It's a very united group, and you can tell by looking at it. United. Napoli's last defeat prior to this was on the 14th of December, 1-0 to Udinese. Yes.
Napoli's last defeat. Nice. Just to say, before we move on, many people would have noticed there was Marcus and Lillian in the stands again. There to watch, obviously, Kefrim, Marcus's brother, Lillian's son, of course. And whenever I speak to Juve and Inter fans, they seem to not like this family dynamic. Rather, of course, there was a moment in the Derby d'Italia where I thought Kefrem and Marcus could have been handling a situation better, particularly Marcus, who was almost laughing when Juve's last-minute winner got awarded. So I see why there'd be frustrations, but how nice, eh? I think it's really nice that there's his brother and his dad at the game. Shut up, like, why everyone hates it so much. I think Daniel, you said it on the fucking group chat as well.
Here we go again, Matthew and Daniel.
No. So Daniel said like get Marcus out because of this whole sucking the cock of Juve. Which I see, but Daniel, question for you. Would you be calling for Thuram out if it were last season and the backup strikers were Arnautovic and Correa?
I believe he had been.
He had he been?
I believe so, bro. He's been anti-Thuram for a while, and at first it was because of his work ethic. Because last season he started to dip towards the end. You remember he had like fitness issues.
Yes, and Thuram does that thing where he scores a hat trick and then does nothing.
And then
for
he walks around. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, these people are human. But they need to understand that people are very emotionally invested into these teams. People get tattoos of these teams. People dedicate their lives to these fucking teams and spend money to go watch them abroad, etc., etc. When the fan feels like he cares more than the players on the pitch do, it's not a nice feeling. And they need to understand that, and they need to be very careful. If Thuram is spotted cheering on goals for Juve, then it's not exactly a nice sight, I believe he can support his brother without making a massive show out of it. And to be honest, I don't think he did either. I know he has, like, laughing with his brother on the pitch after the defeat. Or draw, was it? No, defeat 4-3. That's too much.
Yes,
that's
I
way
agree.
too much. It's insensitive. But I do think that at the end of the day, it's not a big deal, but emotions would be high and people don't like to see it, right? The majority.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to remember my second point I was going to make.
This guy is drinking wine today.
Spalletti. But I don't think it's going to come to me, unfortunately. God, I felt like it was a good one.
Was it that Agnelli has more hair between his eyebrows than Spalletti does on his head?
But then Spalletti has more hair on his gooch. Over to you, brother.
Como 6, Torino 0.
Speaking of gooches.
Speaking of fucking, what was it? What was the stat that we were talking about last time, bro?
You can't say that on
Yeah.
the podcast.
Was it paellas per Juanita squared?
Paellas per Juanita squared.
Yeah, they racked up a high amount of paellas per Juanita squared this
Yes.
game, Como. 60.6% ball possession is their average in Serie A this season,
Jeez.
Como.
Jeez.
Absolutely mental. Torino are also the team who have conceded the most goals this season, 40. The fans are furious. They told off the team at the end. Duvan was listening. He was there. He's the captain. So he's obviously in the front. The fans are saying, like, you don't care, you don't work hard enough. And Duvan goes, I do! And he gets really defensive and answers back and walks away. Like, what are you doing? You are the captain. Be quiet, swallow your pride for a bit. You've lost 6-0. No, it's not true, no. Like, come on, you've lost 6-0. Bite your tongue.
Jeez, man. It's a lack of accountability. That says a lot about where the team's at.
And just one more fun stat before we get to the good stuff. Among under 21 players, only Coyote and Gabriel of Lecce have played more minutes than Nico Paz this season.
Oh, wow.
In Europe's top 5 leagues, of course, because I'm sure there's like a 16-year-old tearing up the Bolivian league or something. So let's get to the lineups. It was Bute in goal for Como in their 4-2-3-1 formation with Voivodar, Ramon, Kempf and Valle at the back. Perron and Acuna in the double pivot with Rodriguez on the right, Baturina on the left, Nico Paz in the hole and Duvigas playing up front. For Torino, all I see is red. This is Paleari in goal in a 3-1-4-2 formation with Cocco, Ismaili and Tameze at the back. Ilkan playing in front of the defense to protect it. Lazaro on the left, Pedersen on the right, and Casade and Vlasic playing behind Adams and Ngonge. So from the opening minutes, Como played like a team that smelled blood. They had early chances, the movement was unpredictable and constant. Torino looked very uncomfortable, and the signs were there that this was not going to be a fun outing for Torino, especially when you look at the first leg. Well, how much had they come in the first leg? I believe in total they came 11-1.
Jeez,
yes,
man.
so not great. And in fact, once they started, they didn't stop. The first one came through Duvikas. Dacunia played a perfect ball over the top, looping ball, too easy. The line's way too high. And Duvikas just made it clear that he was faster from the get-go against Coco, who looked like Coco. And he made it 1-0, in fact. And then the second summed up the difference between the two sides. Baturina continues his inspired form, driving through the middle, dragging... Defenders were being dragged away by Duvikas, and then he finished full of confidence, taking advantage of a gap left and just putting it right beyond the goalkeeper, hard and low. Torino tried to respond, but they couldn't really kill any of Como's momentum. And then a penalty went in at the hour mark, and Torino totally disappeared, and it became a training exercise from then on. Duvikas scored again. Kun scored a beauty, which had been a while coming. The commentator said, haven't actually looked into it. Kakare arrived late from midfield and managed to curl one in beautifully as well. They were fluid and they were ruthless, bro, Como. And Torino were too passive and fragile, and they got overwhelmed. And they ended up winning 6-0. Now, this is a 6-0 victory for Fabregas, bro. It's a shame that only Italy cares about this result. Outside of Italy, no one would care about this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just depends how you played. With all fairness, Como are on a completely different level to where, not to Torino, which they are, no, a completely different level to where they were at last season, man.
Mm-hmm.
They are so much more direct, and they are so much more lethal and accurate, man. This is a team that is gonna be making top 4 next season. Like I don't think they'll do it this season. I think they'll make Europe without a shadow of a doubt. It's just against the top teams, that they struggle. But they're making quick work of these teams. I mean, a 6-0 result to a Torino, who I want to get to very soon, because Torino are
Rubbish, eh?
rubbish, terrible. And I think sometimes you see managers, of course, struggle more with their lower team spells than their higher team spells. Because like Baroni did decently at Lazio because he had a better set of players, but the second you put him in a team that has a few holes in it, you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy can't manage shit.
He did well at Lecce. He kept them up, and they had a really bad team, to be fair.
True.
So,
but he can't get a hang of this Torino team, who are now, bro, in 16th. They're 6 points above Fiorentina.
No, it's terrible, and Torino's a historic club, one of the most important clubs in Italy, and don't get it twisted, the problem isn't Baroni. The fans have been protesting way before the appointment of Baroni. We're talking about Cairo over here, an owner who is as stingy as it gets, who doesn't make the most out of opportunities. It's almost like whenever he has a player who's performing well, he likes to provoke whoever makes an offer and just demand ridiculous fees.
Yeah.
I always mention, and I will never stop mentioning because of how ridiculous it was. Once Milan came in and tabled an offer of about 80 million and 2 players for Bellotti.
Before I get back to this episode, a special shout out goes to our media partners, Benevo Bid.
Woo!
Check out our link in bio to bid on autographed items from top players, including match-issued kits. And if you question the authenticity, I invite you to check out their Instagram, where you could actually see the players signing off.
And the best part, most of the proceeds go to charity, and it is the vast majority of proceeds that actually do go to charity. So click our link in our bio to help make a difference and to upgrade your collection. And he said no.
I don't get him.
Mental. Like, what are you doing? Maximize. Like, this is what you have. This is how you end up becoming a good team. Like, a say like that could change your midfield. You know what I mean? But I'm very disappointed in how it's going for Baroni. I think the players aren't playing as well as they could be. I don't know if that's by design or just a collective kind of like low morale going on right now for Torino, but they look like a team that's uninterested and unmotivated. And the fact that you get to see the fans berating the at the end and Duvan Zapata actually arguing back is ridiculous to me.
I think it's a train wreck, to be honest, and I think, you have Sarri saying how Lazio are a relegation-threatened side, and Fiorentina are actually a relegation-threatened side. I think Torino are the ones that I have the least hope for out of those, because the free fall that they're on is ridiculous. And this is the thing, they've got an injury crisis going on, but who is? So of course Ilic and Shores and Giannakis are... And Giovanni Simeone, to be fair, they're important players, that are out injured for them. But then you look at their squad; it's not a bad team.
It shouldn't be losing 6-0.
It shouldn't be losing 6-0. And you said this isn't down to Baroni. I think Baroni is the manager in the league that is one of the most capable of getting spanked, bro.
He is. No. His style is very...
but relax,
very
what are you doing?
Yes, totally. He's stubborn and he is partly to blame.
Como.
I'm talking about Torino's situation as a club nowadays is down to Cairo.
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
I looked up Baroni's words because, to be honest, imagine losing. Like, what do you say after that?
He always, what you're about to say,
yes.
He always says this. Always.
It's my fault. I take responsibility. Now keep your head down and get to work. I said this about the prediction series. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready to be a manager, I'm telling you. We faced a team that was stronger than us in every way. And then we paid the price, especially after the penalty when the team left the pitch. The Granata will be in the training camp on Monday. I take responsibility for the defeat and we apologize to our fans. At the end of the match, the club confirmed their faith in me. I am not resigning. On the contrary, throughout my long career at this moment, I feel the club's closeness and trust. We must all get out of this situation together. I take responsibility. We faced a team that was stronger, alright, blah, blah, blah. Only with unity can we find the resources to overcome this difficult moment.
That's a very Maltese thing.
Only with unity.
Unity.
And unity.
And unity.
Yes.
And you know what? Sprinkle in some more unity in there.
I think he'll get sacked. I don't
think
believe
he
him
gets
that they
sacked
have
as well.
faith. I think he's a dead man walking. And I'm surprised because back in the day, you get sacked immediately, the morning after. For a 6-0 loss, you're taking the piss, you get fucking sacked immediately.
But Cairo, I doubt he's even watching the games, to be honest. This was literally target practice for Como.
Yeah.
Because what the favor that was done to Como in this game is every player that should be scoring scored. Well, apart from Nico Paz and Rodriguez took a break, but Baturina.
I love Baturina, man.
I love him too. I love so much, Baturina, who has come in recently. He got an important goal. Then he got another goal. Now in this game, this was the Baturina show, right? With a spectacular goal and a great assist as well. Duvikas, the striker, is now on 8 goals this season. He's tied second with top scorers alongside Pulisic and Yildiz.
He was a really smart signing, an interesting one, because he has an international experience representing Greece, of course. He's 26, so he's not the youngest, but you get a player like who can still improve, but who has a lot of experience at the same time. And I like the way he moves in the channels and the way he works the line.
I like the way he moves. Kun scored as well.
He did.
Kun scored a great goal.
He did.
An
Congratulations,
important goal
Kun.
for him. But these are the kind of guys that needed to get off the mark for Como, that can really use the confidence, because they've got outlets everywhere, Como, that can contribute to goals, which for that reason, like Kun, for example, he's a right winger, Kun.
Yeah.
Baturina moved to left winger, which means Rodriguez moved to right winger. On the same side, there's what's his name again?
Adai.
There's Adai. There's Diao that can also play there, but prefers to play striker. Rodriguez, who of course played in this game, and there's the guy that used to play as a wing back.
Voivoda.
Yeah. Voivoda. So there's a lot of competition. So great for Kun to come in and get a goal.
Yeah. And this is his first goal for Como. I just looked into it. His last goal in professional football came for Celtic against Hibernian.
Yes, Celtic United, but baby, I've decided.
It's quite a musical episode. Are we always like this?
I don't think so. I think I just have more ticks today.
I had one of summer, another one, bro. Summer has come and passed.
Summer has. Amazing. Amazing.
We can move on, to be honest. Como absolutely destroyed them, for lack of a better term that I can say on the show. 6th place for Como, 40 points, while Torino, as Matthew mentioned earlier, are in 16th with 23 points.
Atalanta 4, Parma 0. Atalanta are back to winning ways after a slip-up against Pisa last week where they drew 1-1. Here they missed just Bellanova and Bakker, but they gained Raspadori. Parma entered this game coming off 2 goalless draws to Napoli and Genoa, but they have recently started to pile up some points on their Cuesta. Here they missed Suzuki, Friggin and Indai.
They lost their friggin' Suzuki.
Get well soon, Friggin.
What happened to Friggin? He's their new signing. I know that he had a bad injury, but did he do his ACL?
Oh, you mean Frigan? Probably, man. I mean,
I'm sure there's a person out there freaking out at our pronunciation.
For sure. Probably.
Yeah, because he's Croatian. Well, how would you pronounce it if he's Croatian?
Frigic. All right.
Friggin' injury, I'm Googling.
That's this friggin' injury, yeah.
Yes, ACL.
Oh gosh.
Left knee.
Oh gosh, we can stop calling him out for in the injury list. Previous encounter between these two sides was a 1-1 draw under Juric. I remember that very clearly. Carnesecchi in goal, backline of Ahanor, Jim City and Scalvini in this 3-4-2-1 formation. Zalewski on the left, Zappa Kost on the right. Double pivot of Ederson and their own, with Raspadori and De Ketelare playing behind Scamacca. 3-4-2-1 for Cuesta's men. Corvi in goal, backline of Circati, Troilo and Valenti. Bridgegi was on the right, Del Prato on the left, midfield 2 of Keita and Estevez, with Bernabé and Sorensen playing behind Benedicek. Bless you.
Thank you.
Parma actually started brighter than expected. They pushed Atalanta back early and they even forced Carnesecchi into a save from Benedicak's header. Great save by Carnesecchi.
Yeah.
But once the tempo settled, the game tilted hard towards Atalanta. The opener came when Zalewski was tripped in the box. It was a clear penalty and Scamacca buried it low to make it 1-0. Question.
Yes.
Scamacca doesn't celebrate goals at all.
You
At
think
all.
the postman celebrates delivering mail?
But he scored a penalty in this game and he celebrated fucking hard, bro. So I don't get, like, he hasn't celebrated bangers.
No, but you know what he does? He does a whole lot of this.
he does do a bit of this.
Like he
does
knows,
do.
he'd be like, holy shit, what I've just done. But more than like celebrate, he'll just be happy. you know?
But he doesn't like run. In this one, he ran up to the fans. Like, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, from there, Atalanta's pressure ramped up. Parma tried to play it out of the back, but they couldn't cope with the press from Atalanta. There was a loose touch from Cercati that sparked a move that ended with their own smashing home from close range. Suddenly, it's 2-0 and Parma are just hanging on. Early in the second half, Parma changed their shape and personnel to push higher up the pitch, but it didn't work. The one moment that could have shifted momentum was Pellegrino went clean through on a 1v1. I forgot who it was who lost the ball. I think Edison lost the ball clumsily at the back again.
He
dare I
has
say.
been a
He's
bit
been losing
reckless.
it weirdly at the back. He's great, but he's lost it at the back
But
weirdly.
maybe it's something that Paladino's having him doing that he's not used to. Maybe, I don't know.
Give the ball away at the back, please, said
Yeah.
Palladino. No, I get you.
You know what I mean?
But Carnesecchi, great save.
He's so good
now.
now.
1v1. Carnesecchi, wow, man. Carnesecchi's biggest problem is that Donnarumma was born so close to him, man. Because
Yes.
he'd definitely be a
staple
the
in that
starter.
attack.
He
Yeah,
should
yeah.
be the second choice goalkeeper
Yeah,
behind.
I think nowadays he's the second best Italian keeper. But
He's overtaken Vicario,
I
surely.
think so.
Straight after that save, Atalanta scored. Brilliant work by Krstovic. He won it high. Absolutely bodied that player to the ground in doing so. And he crossed the ball low and hard across the face of goal. And Raspadori slid in to score on his first start for the team, on his debut actually. Made it 3-0. And then late on, the universe rewarded Krstovic for his hard work. And Parma were actually down to 10 men here, not because of a red card, but because Valenti couldn't continue and they had made all of their substitutions. So, not surprising that Atalanta went on to make it 4. It was a scrappy goal, but good to see Krstovic get on the score sheet after the hard work that he put in for that goal.
Yeah. And I love the touch. I love when people knock the ball forward with a perfect amount of weight and catch up to it. I always
stride,
think that it's easy on the eye, in my opinion. Reminds me of, I think you mentioned Bale.
Yes.
Yeah. Bale.
The stride of
course,
Bale when he runs. By the way, are there any runners out there?
Oh, here we go.
Been running for 2 years.
Here we go. So UFC, Formula 1, and now running has been mentioned on our football podcast today.
Jeez.
I've been counting, huh?
Jeez, we mention sex every episode and we mention so many things. It's my sports that bug you. But anyway, reduce your stride. Relax. I've heard I've been running wrongly this entire time.
Really?
Yes, you shouldn't stride forward. You should keep it in line with your pelvis and focus more on your stride backwards.
I can't.
to push
I
you
have this
forward.
weird inflammation in my pubes. It hurts when I run, man.
If anyone wants to meet me in Milan on April 12th and we can run a marathon and watch Milan Udinese, hit me up because my friend ditched me for it. It is essentially a low block that got eaten alive over here by Parma. It's Cuesta's classic 5-4-1 out of possession, but the line wasn't high enough to escape the pressure and not deep enough to absorb it. And the result of that was basically they were trapped in their own half for 68% of the match, essentially.
Yeah, and it was all Atalanta. I mean, Carnesecchi had to be called upon a few times, and when they had to do that, he was more than ready. But this was really fluid by Atalanta.
Fluid, but it's the self-destruct by Parma and we've seen them do this before, where they continuously trying to play it out of the back. They weren't set up for it with Atalanta's high press and their low defensive line. For the 2-0 Cercati lost the ball. For the 3-0 Troilo lost the ball. At that point, Atalanta were like, look, you're trying to play the ball out of the back.
Yeah.
We're just going to let you.
It's this weird modern approach where you combine this modern build-up fluid transition and a low block. It's like Arteta plays.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except they don't have the personnel. Of course, Cuesta was the understudy of
Yes.
of Arteta. But that's resulted in they've gone 3 straight matches without a goal. That's 288 minutes they spent without scoring a goal.
Hey, but don't worry, bro. Pellegrino is at the top of a stat. He's committed the most fouls in Serie A this season.
Pellegrino, the striker.
He's
What,
committed
Sigma?
the most fouls this season, 50.
50 fouls?
50 fouls. He's also tied with Ostergaard for the most headed goals with 3.
Yo, nice. You're tied with a centre back for goals.
And speaking of Parma, bro, we spoke about Juve having the most goal scorers, Bonnie Blue, whatever. Parma have the fewest. They have 7.
Just 7 scorers.
7 goal
for
scorers
Parma.
for Parma.
Considering they
Same
probably
as
have
Hellas Verona.
7 goals.
Yeah. So, not great.
No,
And on the other hand, Atalanta, this year, 2026, they haven't lost yet.
No, they haven't
league.
lost yet. So just to be clear on Parma, if you actually were to pull up their form, of course, 3 games in a row without scoring, 2 0-0 draws that I feel they did pretty well in. Remind me,
So
Juve
it was Napoli
Napoli,
and
not
Genoa.
Napoli and Genoa.
Yeah.
And they're actually winning games recently. If you were to look at their past 10 games, you see a lot of green and a lot of grey. Not so many reds. I do feel like Parma are getting better. But in a game like this, just Atalanta are going to press you. Why are you making the same mistake for all 4 goals, just repeating your error time?
But maybe, bro, this is something long term. Maybe this is something bigger than now. Maybe Parma view that they see that they have a bit of a safety net from the drop, even though I believe that would be naive. Because of course Fiorentina will probably bounce out of there, let's be real, and Torino too. So it's Lecce, Verona and Pisa who are the ones they're probably competing with, and Cremonese for the drop, definitely.
Sure.
But my point is that once Guardiola said that in order to play the ball out of the back successfully, you have to lose it and fuck up games many times. And he's right. I mean, look at what City have built. And when Pep arrived, they were conceding shit goals at first from trying to do what they're doing. So maybe this is something very long term. They do have the youngest manager in the league.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
But everything you said is totally valid. Because you have a 29-year-old manager who... repetition is what gets you results. Ideally, the repetition is done in training and not in a 4-0 spanking against Atalanta. But this is the difference between other managers like Zanetti, like any manager in the bottom half.
Nicola,
Pisacane,
Gilardino.
all these guys, Gilardino, and Cuesta. It's sure you want to improve and you want to play a certain brand of football, etc. But it's very simple. To stay in Serie A, which is Parma's goal for this season, can we agree? Parma want to stay in Serie A.
Yeah.
To do that, they need a certain amount of points.
Agreed.
What you doing experimenting?
But maybe the game away towards away against Atalanta isn't the game to get points. You know what I mean? You can try, but
you get points where you can, because you need as many points as you can to stay up. You need 40 points.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
they got points at the.
He's a young, inexperienced manager, and he didn't see it, spot it.
But surely, surely, bro. This was a choice, and I'm sure I will bet my house, my liver, my pubic inflammation that he knew and he was expecting Atalanta to press, and it was by design that he thought we're going to try to play out of the back. He knew the risk.
So he knew he was going to lose 4-0 and he just continued doing the same thing.
I don't understand. Sometimes people are so locked into their philosophy, and I think they view losing as not as bad when you are working on something actively to build towards something in the future. You know, I think maybe he thinks that there isn't enough pressure, so it's worth a shot. I don't know, but this was I am of this same opinion as you, bro. Against Atalanta, you play over them, not
because
on
the
the
thing
ground.
is,
You play over. You have
and the thing is, bro, we've seen Parma. We've described Parma as catenaccio before.
yes.
So
yeah. It's
and
a weird.
we said that maybe
it's
they're
a
doing
weird
that because
balance,
they were
bro.
playing Juve at the time.
They've got Benedijak. He's quite big up front, and you know Pellegrino eventually. So just play
Playing
to
the
play
ball
to
on
them.
his bloody
Yeah.
head. For
Playing it on his
Atalanta,
fucking head.
for Atalanta, 4 scorers in this game, including a goal for Raspadori. Obviously, insane for Raspadori to get off the mark so quickly, and then playing behind the striker, even though sometimes it looked like he was playing alongside him. But Atalanta quickly regained their confidence ahead of a crucial clash with Como. That is a 6-pointer if I've ever seen one for top 4. And yes, Paladino's side look sharp both defensively and offensively. When it comes to the standings, Atalanta are in 7th on 35 points. That is 5 points behind Como in 6th. So this is technically not a 6-pointer for top 4, but a 6-pointer at the stage for Europa League or Conference League. Whereas Parma are in 15th on 23 points, level on points with 16th place Torino, and they are 6 points from Fiorentina, who are in 18th.
Yes, sir. So we can move on to the match of the week, bro.
Yes.
Genoa 3, Bologna 2. Controversial. Now I will explain why. So, first of all, going into this to add some context, Genoa actually haven't lost in 5 match days now. So, things are really amping up with
De
De
Rossi,
Rossi.
baby.
Yeah, they've got 2 wins and 3 draws. And Vincenzo Italiano, of course, Bologna manager, is the ex over here of the day because he previously represented Genoa as a player from in 2005, from January to June, racking up a grand total of 9 appearances.
Oh, wow. Must have been a loan.
Something like that. So, yes, lineups, we have the great Skorupski in goal for Bologna, who is honestly, I'm just going to say it from now, he's having a nightmare return to football. He had a disaster in the Europa League, handing Celtic a goal for no reason. And then getting sent off this game. Absolute disaster, catastrophe. Even though it was harsh, we'll get into it. So Lico Giannis, Heggen, Casale and Zortea were at the back in Italiano's trademark 4-2-3-1 with Ferguson and Freuler in the pivot, Jonathan Rowe on the right, Dominguez on the left with Odegaard playing behind Ciro Immobile.
Odegaard.
Oh
my god.
Oh yeah, same thing. Odegaard is Odegaard from Wish, brother.
Exactly.
Bilo was in goal for Genoa. Yes, that's Justin Bilo. And you'll ask, who the hell is Justin Bilo? And Justin Bilo is a goalkeeper that they brought in from Feyenoord. And this was his debut for Genoa. So maybe we won't be seeing Andrew Tate in goal anymore for Genoa.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I liked Andrew Tate.
Wait, please.
Whoa, Leali. I like Leali. Yeah.
He looks like Andrew Tate.
He does look like Andrew Tate. Fuck! Marcandalli, Otoa and Vasquez were at the back in Bologna's 3-5-2 formation with Norton Coffey on the right and Martin on the left. Vitinha, Frendrup and Ellertson were the midfield 3 with Ekator and Lorenzo Colombo up front. Lorenzo Colombo, who is 1 goal away from equaling his best ever season in goal scoring, where he scored 6 goals. This happened in Serie B for Spal and in Serie A for Empoli. He's currently on 5 goals this season, of course. Naturally.
Hell yeah.
So for an hour, this looked like it was Bologna's afternoon. Genoa were competitive, but Bologna were much sharper and more clinical. Ferguson's opening goal was absolutely beautiful. It was low, it was precise, and it was unstoppable. And the second was a forced own goal that really made it seem like it wasn't going to be Genoa's day. I believe it was Otoa who got the final touch on that one.
It was indeed.
Yes, everything turned, of course, on one mistake and one harsh decision. Skorupski decided to come out of the box and attempt to control a ball. He tried to play it and it just bounced in front of him. He totally mishit it and he panicked and he ended up fouling the man. And all of a sudden the referee comes up to him and brandishes a red card. Now this is natural. When you see a goalkeeper losing a chance, you think automatically, there's an empty net, so it's a denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity, right?
Yes.
It's a dogzo. But for me, the ball was going wide. There were defenders back. There was even a defender on the line, and he sent him off. It was unbelievable to me, in my opinion. I felt really bad for Skorupski because, first of all, how embarrassing what he was trying to do, the way he was trying to control the ball, and it just wasn't happening for him. I felt so bad for him. And then to see him sent off, and of course, nothing happening, and the decision standing was a little bit harsh.
Do you want my opinion on the matter, or shall
Yeah.
we save it for the talking points?
Yeah. Come on, let's do it.
So I'm just seeing the replay of it, because to be honest, I just saw, like you said, that it was an empty net, so it must be the denial of a clear goal scoring.
I was under the same impression, but take a closer look. He wasn't the last man. There was an entire defensive line and the player on the line.
But the keepers, I'm not sure what my opinion is. I'd like to see what the rule is, because the goalkeeper is totally like off his line. It's an open net. They could have shot and scored.
But look where he is, bro.
It's true.
Look where he is. For me, no, this isn't dogzo. I think this is a wrong decision by the referee. And I don't know if you want to look up while I do the rest of the game to see if anything has been said about this, because it's extremely harsh and it changed the game, to be honest. Yeah, I'll continue in the meantime, because what happened after was absolutely mental. Yes. So Malinovsky didn't even give Ravaglia time to touch the ball, man. Ravaglia came in to replace the sent-off Skorupski. Of course, he came on for a player. I can't quite remember who it was. But Ravaglia's in goal. He's like, He's like, come on, this is our time. Skorupski's having a shocker, his second in a row. I just have to play well, and it's gonna be my spot. I'm gonna be number one. Malinovsky knuckleball from way out, flying. You can hear it whistling, like it's mental how hard he shoots that shit. And it goes right over Ravaglia's fingertips and into the back of the net. And from this moment on, the Ferraris was going mental. Genoa were throwing bodies forward, and Bologna totally stopped controlling the game, and the equalizer eventually came in spectacular fashion, with Ekuban twisting midair and volleying into the top corner like it was nothing. And then finally, the return, the savior, the Messiah, Junior Messiah, the prophet, the delivery man. He cut inside and delivered a delicious curler, and he was in tears at full time. Such an emotional guy. Messiah.
He is. I think he's a man that is full of gratitude.
He is,
That's always drawn
That's
me
the
to
impression
him.
he gives me as well. Why wasn't he at that party? We don't know, guys. Right? That's one thing that keeps me up at night till today. Milan won the league, and he didn't go to the celebration, and he played a big part in that Scudetto, because it was either him or Salamakers, and it was always the case that Messiah starts and plays badly, Salamakers comes on and plays well, so it starts Salamakers who would play badly, Messiahs would come on and play well, and was constantly like that. It was constant rotation. Yes. From 2-0 down to 3-2 up, bro, this was the game of the week.
Definitely the game of the week, and that's the kind of shit you want to see from a relegation threat inside, no? The opposing team gets a red card for a stupid decision made by the goalkeeper. I'll definitely, if there's one person to blame, of course it was a controversial decision when you're factoring in Doxo, etc. But ridiculous decision by Skorupski, and it was just it was a nightmare for him, especially when there's that whole debate of, is Ravaglia better than him or not. He comes back in and has the two performances that he's had.
He's been erratic.
He has been erratic. With that being said, the reaction from Genoa was amazing, because that's the level of balls and aggression, and that's a team that is together. You know, the team that smells blood.
Yeah.
Like Genoa, who you know, they're considered relegation candidates. They're the ones that sacked Vieira because they were in the relegation zone. To score those 3 goals that they did, just you know, man,
And
spectacular, man. How can you
it's-
not root for them?
yeah, it's a nice group to manage, I think, for De Rossi as well, because you have so many characters. And granted, while not much was spent in the market, you have a team that has many players with very different skill sets. Like, not many people can strike the ball like Malinovsky can, and when it happens, it just blows you away. And even Messias is a player of great quality, who is very capable of scoring goals. We don't see it regularly because he's not often fit, but
It's his first goal in how many years, bro? It's
ages.
years since his
it's
last goal.
been a while. So yeah, absolutely. Mental. But yes, they have a nice, passionate group that's very together, and you could see at the end of the game how much it meant to De Rossi, who was jumping around in joy, while the Ferraris, of course, was just a spectacle. It looked absolutely beautiful.
Completely, man. And you can see that they didn't start the season off this enthusiastic.
Yeah.
This is the kind of change that De Rossi makes to a team. It's like when De Rossi came in after Mourinho and everyone was fed up of him, and he gave them that second wind and he got that reaction out of them. This is where De Rossi can have a real impact on the team, and tactically he's pretty sound as well. So I think they have a really good guy for the job. Going back to the red card decision, I'm reading on it, and the general consensus, especially on Reddit, is that it shouldn't have been a red card, but Skorupski did enough to make it a debate. Skorupski did enough. They're calling it orange.
An orange, I hate that.
Skorupski did enough to warrant orange.
Uh-huh.
And then it's up to the interpretation. But I think with Dogso, which gives you a very clear indication of what is a red card and what
It's
isn't.
like one of those when you kill someone but you're sleepwalking.
Yes, it's precisely that. It's a controversial decision, but again, he let Bologna down.
Yes, he did. He shouldn't have been there to begin with, and he should have just cleared it from the get-go. I don't know. It was so
It's a
clumsy.
Bologna team that could have really used this win.
So clumsy. Yes, and everything was going so well, man, until that moment, and they were in total control and looking like they were at their best, to be honest with you. And it got me wondering, man, what's going on with Bologna? Is this their level? Are they just in the right place? I mean, they are. When you look at the table, they're in 8th with 30 points. Above them, you have Atalanta, Como, Juve, Napoli, Roma, Milan, and Inter, and it seems fair enough. You know what I mean? I mean, they're above everyone they should be above. Lazio, Udinese, Sassuolo, everyone else, etc., whatever. But I don't think it would be fair to expect them, with the business that they've done, to be ahead of the teams that are currently ahead of them.
That's it, and this is roundabout where I had them in my predictions.
Yeah.
Reason being is, last 2 seasons, they've overperformed. They've overperformed when they finished 5th with Motta. Last season, they finished 9th in Serie A. They won the Coppa Italia.
It's because they put their foot off the gas at the end.
They chose to prioritize the Coppa Italia. But this is a team that, I feel like I say this every episode, man, but 2 seasons ago, they lost to Xerxes and Calafiori and Motta.
Yeah.
And last season, they lost Ndoye and Belkama. And I don't think people realize how important a player like fucking Dan Ndoye was for them. And Belkama. So they haven't recovered in the wing department. One day they're playing Benji Dominguez. The other week they're playing Rowe. And then the week after, they tried Fabian there, but now Fabian went to Fiorentina, which I only noticed when he came on as a substitute, by the way. And then defensively, Lukumi, Belkema, that partnership, that's completely gone. And now, not only is Belkema out of the team, but Lukumi has had a terrible season, which means they have
he's been drinking.
essentially a brand new back line, which isn't sound in the slightest. And that's exactly why they're struggling, because they can't keep weakening their team from season to season and expect the same results.
I'd like to hear the opinions of our beautiful listeners over here and our beautiful patrons. If you could actually start a conversation on the group chat, it would be lovely. And don't worry, I'll probably start it myself because I'm incapable of waiting.
You should message Luca.
I should actually. You're
Hey,
right,
guys.
but I think the problem is that it's something similar that we saw in the second season of Italiano at Fiorentina, where in his first season he's more pragmatic. And it could be because some of the principles of the previous manager maybe would still be fresh in the players' heads, like of Thiago Motta in this case, right? But exclude that, forget that point for now. I think in the second season he fully commits to his style. And we're seeing that this season. The wing-backs are pushing high. He brought in Zortea, he's trying to use him like that right now, Lico Giannis as well. But I think for Italiano's football to work perfectly, you need your two centre-backs to be capable of, number one, playing the ball very well and efficiently. And number two, being physical and combative and fast enough to actually do a lot of work if the opponent gets the ball and counters you, right? If they hit you on the break, because you commit men forward naturally. Not to mention your wingers need to be capable of taking on a man. We know Dominguez is very capable of dribbling and he's a good dribbler, but he's still so young that his final product isn't great after he takes on his man. And on the other side, you have Jonathan Rowe, of course, who's still adapting and who doesn't always do it with great success, and Orsolini as well, whose form has dipped. So it just seems like a combination of you weren't prepared because you didn't have a good market. Your team is inexperienced or off form, and you are committing fully to...
Is this a freaking earthquake,
It
dog?
might have been an earthquake, but it stopped now.
That might have actually been an earthquake. I don't know.
It might have been. No, I think it's furniture moving, actually. Okay.
Some asshole dragging the furniture.
So, yes. So it's the bad form, the inexperience, the bad market, and the fact that maybe Italiano's trying to play his game without the necessary tools to do so efficiently. We interrupt this program because our analytics show us that a bunch of you cheeky monkeys are listening to us weekly without dropping us a like, a follow, or a rating. So please go bananas and
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, and drop us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us grow and keep bringing you weekly content.
quit monkeying around. We're the only English-speaking Serie A podcast that do weekly episodes covering every single match, every single team, every single week.
If you really love us and want an ad-free experience, become a patron. It's only $3.99 a month, and you'll be added to a group chat with 50+ like-minded legends, join our fantasy league, and even win a free kit of your choice for winning the league.
So come on, chimp out with us.
If you were to look at the lineup from last game to this game, right? Because we understand that having familiarity and continuity is super important, especially to a team that is in a creative rut. Because when Bologna struggle, when an Italiano team struggles, they tend to forget how to put the ball in the box. So I found it interesting how in this game, this is the game he decided to go for Ciro Immobile. He goes for Ciro Immobile up front, who is a striker that needs to be serviced. A, he was always that kind of player. B, he's 38 now.
I can confirm.
So he needs to be serviced.
35.
Oh, okay. Younger than I thought. Still, he doesn't have the legs to he's no Castro. He's an in-the-box fox. You need to give him the ball in the box and he's likely to score. But in a game without Orsolini, in a game without Cambiaghi, this is the game that he decides to go for Ciro Immobile up front. Now, I know that goal scoring isn't what lost them this game. It was the mistake by Skorupski and how the fact defense that crumbled.
The 3 goals were you can't. I don't even think it's fair to say the defense crumbled, because what the fuck are you gonna do?
True.
You know what I mean? Like, you have one free kick that's a knuckleball and your keeper's just, come on. You've got a twist volley from Caleb Ekuban, who's never scored a goal like that in your life. When you're literally doing match preparation and you're reading the profile of Ekuban, he can't do that. And then you arrive on the pitch and he's doing it, actually. He's twisting in midair, like crazy goal. And then at the end, Messiah's all right, maybe you shouldn't have let him have that much space on his favoured left foot, but
he hadn't scored a goal in Serie A in like 2 years, man.
So it's a little bit unfortunate for Bologna this game. I feel for them.
This game in particular, yes, but you see that they're not the same well-drilled, hard-working machine that they were last year and the year before. That's evident to me. Now, if it's Spell or if this is their level, 8th place,
We'll see.
We'll see.
I think they have a very good manager, and this is a good situation for us to see what kind of man he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
According to Fiorentina, he's a piece of shit man. You remember that whole thing?
Yes,
The
but
whole-
Fiorentina don't like Palladino, like.
Yeah, fair enough.
Who seems really alright. I don't know.
Yes. So Bologna.
Yes.
Bologna are in 8th with 30 points, while Genoa, after this victory, are in 13th with 23 points.
Yes. So Fiorentina 1, Cagliari 2. Fiorentina's positive run of form that got them out of the relegation zone completely crumbled, and now they're back in the relegation zone. Good to mention because, again, I noticed a bit too late. Fabian signed for Bologna. It's a 6-month loan with an obligation under certain conditions. What does that mean, man? An obligation under certain conditions.
They don't get relegated, things like that. That's probably the main condition.
It's just that this is the information that we get. It's quite frustrating. We don't know. Like we can't go, hey, he's 2 goals away from getting the clause triggered.
Then one day a post will come up. Fabian redeemed.
Exactly.
His
like,
clause has...
we need to educate our audience, and this is what they're doing to us. Cagliari with back-to-back wins over Juve and Fiorentina, all while missing Belotti, Folorunsho, Deola and Felici. Fiorentina have sunken back into the relegation zone after earning their first loss in 5 matches. Their first 5 matches? Exactly. It's only midweek. What the hell did I
Is
write
that your
here?
phone?
That was X's fault. Rico. Okay. So earning their first loss in 5 matches. There's a draw and a win. Midweek against Como. Sorry, there's a train wreck.
Don't worry, bro. One of those where you have no idea what the fuck you wrote.
What the hell did I write? Why did I
Let's see, let me try.
DW?
DW, the winter.
It's only midweek, Como. Don't worry. Come on, man. So Fiorentina have sunken back into the relegation zone after earning their first loss in 5 matches.
But
Don't worry. It's only midweek, Como and weekend Napoli coming up.
Yikes.
They're actually playing tonight, no? They missed Keane, Lamptey, Sabiri and Parisi. Yes, Coppa Italia.
Ooh, Coppa Italia. Is there Champions League?
They moved everything to Wednesday.
Excellent. Very good.
Previous encounter between these two sides was a 1-1 draw. So for Fiorentina, it was a 4-3-3 formation. David De Gea and goal, backline of Dodò, Comuzzo, Pongracic and Gosens, as more rumours of Ranieri moving to the likes of Cagliari and other teams that he's been linked with. Indur, Fagioli and Mondragora formed the midfield 3 with Goodmanson and Solomon flanking Piccoli. 3-5-1-1 formation for Cagliari, Caprile and goal, backline of Zepedro, Jeremina and Luperto. Palestra on the right, the ever impressive Palestra that is. Aubert on the left, midfield 3 of Adopo, Gaetano and Mazzitelli, with Kilicsoy playing ahead of Esposito. Now Fiorentina started aggressively with Goodmanson and Solomon trying to create chances, but Cagliari absorbed the pressure and they struck first on the counter. It was Palestra that sprinted down on the right hand side and delivered a perfect cross for Semih Kilicsoy, whose header was deflected in by Pietro Comuzzo to make it 1-0 in the 31st minute. Just after half-time, Fiorentina conceded again almost immediately. Indur lost possession. Esposito found Palestra, who slotted a composed shot into the far corner for his first ever Serie A goal. This was in the 47th minute. Fiorentina pressed late, bringing on Brescianini and Harrison. Harrison, not the guy from Love Island last season, whatever, that's not a good joke. The effort yielded a goal for Brescianini, who converted a low cross from Dodò in the 74th minute. Despite late chances from Brescianini and Fabian, Cagliari held on. Caprile and Mina made crucial interventions to preserve the lead pretty late on. But the most important part, bro, is that Fiorentina have once again lost to another minnow side, you can call them, one of the smaller teams in Serie A. These are the kind of games that they should be winning, man. Cagliari at home. But then again, Pisa Cane and Cagliari, we've really been seeing them defend brilliantly as a unit, that catenaccio style low block.
Yeah.
But they just have the players to hit on the counter. Eh? They have the players and the system to hit on the counter, and someone like Palestra is perfect in a
Bro,
system
they're
like this.
really interesting because they have the ability to go direct with through Palestra, for example, and they've always had this avenue. Like before Palestra, it was Zortea.
Mhm.
Before that, it was Luvumbo. You know what I mean? Before that, they had João Pedro, who was a cheat code in himself.
Yes.
You know, they've always had this outlet, Cagliari. They're very smart in the way they operate. However, they also have the possibility to, when it comes to teams on their level, to actually play some very fluid and attractive football. And they actually scored a goal that was nominated for the Puskas last season. You know the one. And this season we've seen elements of it as well, particularly when Gaetano's on the pitch and Dadopo at the same time.
Yes.
Gaetano and Dadopo love this flashy crap, and it looks amazing, to be honest.
They
when
play
it
well
works.
together. Even
They do.
Sebastiano puts in a few
Yes,
good
yes.
moves with them.
So this is a team with, first of all, a talent that I think will be a household regular for the Italian national team in years to come.
100%.
In Palestra, because he is absolutely amazing. And let's not forget
100%.
that he is Atalanta owned. I believe he's on loan.
He's on a dry loan from Atalanta to Cagliari until the 30th of June 2026. Inter
Yeah.
and Arsenal are also interested.
Yeah, so definitely a bright future for him. He looks great. He can do everything. He can cross, he can finish. He looks amazing.
mental,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
He looks mental.
And not to mention as well, look how prepared Cagliari were for the season. I mean, it's honestly so impressive how you have some big teams who one injury sees their entire shape falling apart. They've had so many injuries to starting strikers, man. Bellotti's out. Borelli at one point was out. Felici is out as well. He fucked up his knee against Napoli. And they've got Kilic Soy on loan, this guy who's killing it, man. He's another good talent.
He's
man,
doing
straight
great.
from Turkey. I believe Besiktas, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so they're just so stacked, to be honest. They have depth, and I think they are a team that's very well run and very well managed, well drilled, a lot of talent. I enjoy watching Cagliari.
I love Cagliari. With that being said, is there any news on Cutrone to Cagliari? Because
that was happening, right?
it
apparently.
was happening, but it didn't seem like it was happening at all when I looked it up. So just have a look over there so we can update these kings and queens. I completely agree with you about Cagliari, and I think a lot of credit has to go to the young manager who, even though he's not 29 like Cuesta, this is Pisacane, who was playing 2-3 years ago. He's a 38-year-old manager who has a former player. The second we saw it, we're like, oh, Cagliari have to be one of the favourites for relegation, but it's the versatility in which he sets up his team. Like that tiki-taka kind of play when they're going forward, and then that kind of catenaccio when they're out of the ball, completely frustrating their opponents. And I think he has a really good eye for using players that complement each other. So like you said, Adopo and Gaetano, for example, when they played the slow block, they had, of course, Jeremina, Luperto and Zepedro, who are their go-to. But then those creative outlets, they have Palestra, who, of course, you need to start Palestra, but then the way he plays Esposito behind the striker instead of playing just this flat 3-5-2, he makes slight tweaks to his starting 11, which makes a world of a difference, Pisacane. And I think we have a good manager.
Yeah,
coming
I
up over
agree,
there.
and definitely the coolest looking in the Liga. He's got a tattoo on his hand. He's always dressed in black. Really cool guy.
Fuck yes.
Fiorentina, ever disappointing, dominating the ball, having many chances, but just not taking them. And just another fucking loss for them, and to think when it's starting to look up.
But this tends to be the case, and it's like when they beat Udinese 5-1, then I believe straight after they lost to Parma.
Yeah.
It could be a case. I'm really not sure. But when things are going good, maybe they don't respect their opponents enough because they're like, yeah, we're on a good run.
But things
now,
don't go well for long.
They
enough
haven't
for
lost
that.
in 5 games. It's
But
way
like,
more
it's not
positive
like-
than they spent.
Yes, it's the
their
best
season.
It was their best run this season, and it's gone.
Exactly.
But yeah, Fiorentina are just an anomaly in themselves. I mean, I thought they would have the motivation to get this over the
But
line.
it's not about motivate. It is, again, the gap between the midfield and the defense. You
It's
could park and
They have no coverage, man.
Costa Concordia. No, that's the one that crashed. I had to say that. Fuck. And MSC Mondial. In that gap that they have between midfield and the defense.
It's true. Yeah, of course, we know Endur, Fagioli and Mandragora are not the best for tracking back, especially when you have Gossens and Dodo making up a defensive line, so you're leaving Komutsa and Pongracic and isolated against a very capable Palestine counter-attacking.
And then they signed 2 midfielders who are identical
to the ones
in
they
a
already
way
have.
to the ones that they already have.
Yes,
One,
really cool.
Brescianini is essentially Mandragora. I'm not going crazy.
Fair enough.
He plays a bit more forward in the
closer
pitch. He
to the
occupies
goal.
a different
But I know
area,
what you
but
mean.
they attack the same area. And they signed Fabian.
Fabian is the same.
He's
Plays
another-
behind
he's
the
another
striker,
attacking
doesn't give
midfielder.
you much defensively.
Plays
Exactly.
behind striker. They signed Solomon. I think he was a good signing because he's a right winger and they're the right winger. So Goodmanson can play on the left, he can play on the right. They can start stretching their opponents, and they found success in that way. And they signed Harrison, who featured in this game. No idea. Is the business that they did adequate? Is it good?
And who's making it?
I don't know, because they go of their sporting director as well.
Yeah.
But were they in talks with Paratici? Where's that at?
I don't think it's happened yet. I have an update on Cutrone, by the way.
Yes.
Yes. So the whole Cutrone deal was essentially meant to be a swap deal. So they give them Lovumbo Zito,
Yes.
and they bring Cutrone in. But apparently, Cutrone has quite a few suitors. Sassuolo, who are also interested in Zola, want Cutrone as well, while Pisa also want Cutrone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hot
So,
property.
hot
Cutrone.
property, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, this guy is capable of scoring.
Yes, and he's
Cutrone.
done it for
He's done it. He
these
scored
kind
10
of
goals for Milan when he was 20 years old. Pio Esposito.
teams. On the 14th of January 2026, Tottenham Hotspurs posted, "We can confirm that our sporting director Fabio Paratici will leave the club in February to join Fiorentina." Yes, Fabio will also join the Serie A side following the conclusion of the winter transfer window. I'm sure there could be some kind of over-the-phone conversation where he recommends players to his, future, whatever. But no, I think they definitely need someone like Paratici, a sporting director, especially with just the state that the club is in at the moment. Of course, they sacked their sporting director earlier this season. Last year they lost Joe Barone, and this year they lost Rocco Commisso. By the way, just beautiful scenes overall commemorating the life of Rocco Commisso. But that's where the club is right now. It is a very, very, very tricky situation to manage when everything around the club is so turbulent and sad. And then the performances on the pitch are what they are. So it's a really tricky situation for Fiorentina to handle right now. Yes, sorry.
Absolutely, I agree. And a tricky situation, and thankfully they had a bit of a good spell as well to kind of, because imagine they were going through a rut when that happened. But Cagliari, just a stat before we move on, because I assume we're going to read the positions. Cagliari are the second highest team for different goal scorers in Serie A behind Juventus. I was just talking about their depth. Like, it works perfect. They've had 14 different goal scorers.
14,
bro. Usually the likes of Hellas Verona and Lecce have 7.
Literally.
Like
literally.
That's
Lecce
crazy.
had fucking 1 last year, cursed of it.
And then the odd Koulibaly or Ramadani goal.
Exactly. So Fiorentina now find themselves back in the relegation zone in 18th place on 17 points, 1 behind Lecce in 17th. Whilst Cagliari find themselves all the way up in 12th on 25 points, 2 ahead of Genoa and Cremonese and 1 behind Sassuolo.
How many do you have left?
I have 1.
I have got 2. Okay. Let's speed this up a little bit. So we have Hellas Verona, 1 Udinese, 3. This was a Monday night special, and we chose to cover this one ahead of the Lazio one because Lazio Lecce, of course, was a 0-0. And I think more than what happened during that game, we need to talk about what's going on a little bit with Lazio because some crap has happened that's very confusing and very weird, quite frankly.
I'm so confused.
Yes. Hellas Verona haven't won against Udinese since. Wait a second. Hellas Verona haven't won since their victory over Fiorentina in December 14th.
Yeah, makes
So
sense.
since then, they haven't won a game at all. Of course, Hellas and Parma. It was Parma, not Lecce, who have the fewest goal scorers with 7. And Sole has had the most ball recoveries in Serie A with 153. Those are some stats to set this up.
Perfect.
Yeah, Sole. Huh?
Sole.
He's a good player. Sole. Stops there though. Perilli was in goal for Hellas Verona with Slotsager, Nelson and De Bosse at the back, Lirola, Gagliardi, Serdar and Bradaric in their midfield 4, with Sar and Bernede playing behind Orban. For Udinese, it was their 3-4-2-1 formation with Okoye at the back, Bertola, Christensen and Sole at the back, with Zanoli and Zamora on the flanks, Karlstrom and Miller in the middle, with Atta Eklinkamp playing behind Davis.
Ara Eklinkamp.
So Udinese looked sharper from the first whistle. They looked calmer, cleaner, and they played with more purpose. Eklinkamp and Karlström had some early shots to warn their opposition, but they didn't exactly threaten early on, but they did show more intent than their opposition. And the opener did come in a slightly scruffy fashion when Atta's curler took a nick, wrong-footing Perilli, and suddenly Udinese had what they deserved. It took a nick.
What, sorry?
No, the shot took a nick. To their credit, Verona responded immediately. Sar drove down the right and crossed it to Orban, who controlled it and had 2 defenders with him, and I was sure he was going to fuck it. But he stayed composed and he managed to finish through a split-second gap that appeared between the defenders. It was a moment of belief in the Bentegodi again. And then it only lasted briefly. There was a messy free kick for Udinese and a loose ball that eventually saw Zanoli bending it into the top corner using the outside of his boot. And it's one of those goals that totally changes the emotional balance of a game, because it's a goal that's so good that it just riles everyone up, and they're like, oh my, look what we've just done. And they started playing like they were absolutely feral, bro.
Yes,
and from then on, Udinese were in total control. They were direct, they were effective, and then Davis was played through on goal and smashed into the roof of the net, and that's game over. Interesting celebration from Davis, but that would be it, bro. Any observations, any points, any...
I'm going to be completely honest and say I didn't have time to watch this game because I was preparing. However, the result isn't beyond belief. Let me put it that way. I think this could actually be the season for Hellas Verona, and I say that with a heavy heart for our very good friend Ben, of course.
Ben's accepted it, huh?
Ben has accepted it,
I
as
mean,
he said in the group chat.
Jovan has left, and we didn't even mention, bro, that he's gone to Napoli, and he came on in that game, and Conte said after the game that was the first time in his life that he ever brought on a player who he hadn't seen before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought he was talking about Vergara when he said that. I
No,
must have misinterpreted
because
it.
he's played Vergara. It was Jovan.
Interesting. No, it's not beyond belief at all. It's good to see. One thing that encourages me as just a guy that likes Verona is Gift Orban's well-taken goal. Surrounded by players as like this lone striker, all 4 of him, 5'5" of him. Just took that really well.
Is he that small, Gift Orban? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but he,
surely he's not taller than 5'6" for sure.
Yeah, fair.
I'll
have a look. Yes, I was just having
I
a look
love-
at this Slotslager.
I love this game.
Because Nunez has left them as well, bro. Nunez has left Hellas
course,
Verona.
man.
They're in trouble.
Those are some decisions. Typically, Verona really use January to bring in like Cyril Ngonge.
Exactly.
And who was the other one?
Noslin.
Tiani Noslin. These are typically the kind of business Verona do. Verona are a kind of team that if they were to go down to Serie B, I think they spring back up immediately to Serie A though. I think they do. Their scouting network, the kind of business that they do is too good for them to remain in Serie B.
I think so. And they'll get that massive parachute payment because they've been in the league for more than 3 seasons.
Exactly.
Gift Orban, we can add him to the list along with Gasperini for people who we thought were short but are actually taller than you. He's 5'10".
He's not 5'10".
He's 5'10".
Gift Orban is not 5'10".
Probably because the defenders are tall, bro. He looks short.
As if, bro.
He's 5'10". I have it right here.
As if.
Right feet.
If, bro.
Yeah, 178.
He's lying.
He's lying.
He's
wearing
lying.
platforms. Yeah.
No fucking way. Anyway.
Anyway. Yes, shout out to Atta, who is unbelievable and who will definitely not be at Udinese next season. He is very capable of turning a game on its head and producing individual moments of brilliance. As always, I am a big fan of Miller. We can actually save a little bit of these talking points for Mattias at the end, who will literally be talking about Udinese. And also shout out to Zanoli, who's a very talented player, and that finish was absolutely sensational. And then he celebrated in the most kawaii way possible. That means cute in Japanese by doing this.
It was so sweet.
It was sweet.
Yes, let's jump on
so
to the next.
Udinese are currently after this game in 10th place, just where you'd expect them with 29 points, while Hellas Verona are 19th with 14 points, equal with Pisa.
Yes, and roundabout in the same position over here, we have Sassuolo against Cremonese. This time Sassuolo won with the score of 1-0. They finally ended their run of 7 winless matches, most recently coming off 3 losses to, this is the kind of running they had, coming off 3 losses to Juve, Roma and Napoli.
Yeah.
They missed Pieragnolo, Kande and Boloca, while Berardi was back among the subs. Is Kande the lovely gentleman
who liked our
post?
Yes, not even our post, our comment on a Como video he liked. I commented absolute cinema on a video that showed Como's 6 goals against Torino, and Kande liked it.
Come on the pod. Come on the pod.
Convince him. He's got like 17k at most followers.
Ooh, let's try.
We
can bring Kande on, that'll be fun.
That'll be hilarious.
Cremonese, on the other hand, have extended their winless run. So they both came into this on a winless run of 7. Sassuolo ended theirs. Cremonese extended theirs to 8th. Their last win was on the 7th of December against Lecce. They missed Sanabria, Payero and Sarmiento. The previous encounter was a 3-2 win for Cremonese. Sassuolo lined up in a 4-3-3 formation. Muric in goal, backline of Doig, Muharemovic, Itzes and Valukovic. Midfield 3 of Kone, Matic and Lipani, with Lauriante and Fadera flanking Moro. Keep in mind Berardi on the bench.
What were they doing tomorrow?
What did I say? Lauriante and Fadera flanking Moro. Yeah, they're flanking him. Okay. Audero in goal for Cremonese, backline of Terracciano, Bascarotto and Bianchetti. Barbieri on the right, Pezzella on the left. Wow, what an Italian team. Midfield 3 of Colo-Colo, Grassi and Van de Putte, with Bonazzoli starting up top alongside Jamie Vardy.
Colo-Colo's making a comeback because he was injured, and I believe he isn't 100%.
He went off injured again immediately
yes.
after making a grievous error.
Yes.
I'll get to it soon.
Colo-Colo, miskin.
In the 3rd minute, Lauriante just gets the ball. This was the easiest start ever. Lauriante's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna shoot 3 minutes in. I'm gonna in Motiv say naħsdu lalla. We're gonna shock the gods. And he completely like mishit the strike. You could tell he's
central.
Going for a completely central. He must have shocked Audero, who spilt the ball. Fadera was there. He reacted quickest and he tapped in for the opener. In the 14th minute, so Cremonese countered via Van de Putte to Vardy. Muric blocked the shot. It was in a really good position. It was a really good save by Muric, who kind of used his still leg while he was shifting all his body weight to the left, but he managed to block the shot. The ball fell to Colo-Colo, who had Bonazzoli in acres of space on the left, could have squared it to him, would have essentially had an open net, but he went for a goal. And he was substituted immediately after. At the time, I hadn't noticed that he had a relapse in his injury or picked up a different injury, whatever. So I thought it was because of that greedy decision from him. It was a really greedy decision, but he did go off injured.
He's rusty, poor guy.
Yeah. Sassuolo settled into containment. They limited Cremonese's chances. Lauriante, Mora and Doig all had half chances of their own. In the second half, Dennis Johnson entered for Cremonese, giving them more attacking intent, but Sassuolo remained solid. In the 59th minute, Berardi came on. Yeah! There was a late chance for Pierini. Pierini is a player I like because once I beat Jake like 10-2 on FIFA and Pierini scored 8. It was crazy.
He was unstoppable, man. I couldn't do anything. Like he would, wherever he was shooting from, he was scoring. It was unbelievable.
He hit the bar with a stunning volley, like
You're mentioning that he scored 8.
He scored that. He hit the crossbar with an insane volley over here. It would have been a great final nail in the coffin for Sassuolo. But look, this is what Sassuolo needed. They needed to get back to winning ways. They needed to get 3 points in this game. They got a goal 3 minutes in, and then it was essentially okay. They did try to close the game off, but with caution, because they know that Cremonese on the counter, they can hit them.
They can, but they've been flat. It seems that Bonazzoli
Totally.
and Vardy had the first part of the season where they were scoring, mostly Bonazzoli, goals for fun, and now it seems that they can't get an attack together, man. They can't shape, and I don't know if it's because the points advantage that they got led to Nicola trying a more pragmatic approach, and that's actually been counterproductive. But I hope they get it sorted, because they're getting dragged back into the relegation dogfight, and that will definitely happen. You mentioned that Lauriante shocked Audero by shooting from distance. He wasn't the only one to shock Audero this evening, as the entire team failed to realize that Audero hadn't gone on the team bus after the game and it left without him. The nation of Indonesia was holding their breath when they heard the news. They were worried. Where is Audero?
That is not a mistake. That is not a mistake.
He stayed behind to speak to journalists, apparently.
Because
and by
they would
the
have
time,
made him do that.
Yeah, and by the time he finished, he headed to the parking lot and noticed that the bus had already
That's
left
so fucking
without
funny.
him.
That's
So
funny.
he had to take a private car.
That's
A
insane.
lonely drive after that weird mistake he made.
That's insane, man. No, Cremonese precisely risk literally getting back into the mix for relegation. Look, to be honest, I think they do have it in them to beat some of these teams that their direct competition, the Veronas, the Lecces, etc. I do think they are a better team in essence. It's normal for newly promoted teams to have a very positive start and then get figured out. I mean, Davide and Nicolas, their coach, the kind of players that they have are Vardy, Bonazzoli, Grassi, Baschirotto, Terracciano. They don't have, we were comparing them essentially to a team that should finish in 11th and 10th, to the Udineses, the Torinos of the sorts, etc. When in actual fact, they have the 11 of a team that should be battling relegation.
Yes, and this is in the predictions. In fact, we were discussing this, right, where we said that the players that they brought have experience, but they are all players who belong to teams that are constantly either getting relegated or flirting with relegation every season. I just hope they don't lose that mentality. I just hope that they don't lose that togetherness that was so nice to watch and so obviously a big part of their game. Obviously, the more games are played, the more the teams have a sample size, but I do feel like they were better off when they were trying to be less pragmatic and actually did commit more players forward, Cremonese, because they were actually creating more chances than they are doing now. Nowadays, they barely create any chances.
In fact, I believe in the previous encounter, either Cremonese were 2-0 up, Sassuolo got them to 2-2, and then Cremonese got the winner, or Sassuolo were actually winning that game 2-0, and
We'll have a
Cremonese
look.
came back from behind, if I'm not mistaken. So it was definitely a 3-2 for Cremonese.
So Cremonese opened the scoring and actually doubled, and then
Exactly.
Sassuolo equalized. They scored through Pinamonti and Berardi, and then De Luca scored at the end and then was shipped off for Vardy.
De Luca, by the way, in my FM with Cremonese, bro, he's my starting striker, like
Really?
6'7" or something. He's crazy.
6'7", 190.
He's tall.
No.
He's tall as hell. He's like 6'5". I promise he's like 6'5", bro. I promise
The
to God.
suspense. He keeps,
To God,
he keeps
I
promising.
promise.
6'4". Yes, that must feel good.
All right. But I think Sassuolo, when it comes to their project, they're ahead of Cremonese. I
Yes,
think
yes.
one guy that I want to give praise to. Now, okay, they just came off. I'm giving praise after they failed to win in 7 games, but they finally got one back now. Interested to see, because this is Grosso's first spell, I believe, in Serie A, because
Yes,
he
yes,
always
yes.
got teams promoted from Serie B and then went to the likes of Lyon, etc. You could see he has what it takes to become a top manager, and I'm interested to see in what the next steps would be for him. Would it be taking Sassuolo to the next level, or will he undertake a new project? We'll wait to find out.
He's interesting, huh? He has
Good balanced.
I've often been impressed by Sassuolo.
Yeah, same
But
here.
yes.
So Sassuolo find themselves in 11th place, still going so strong as a newly promoted team, man. 26 points, just 3 points behind Udinese, who are obviously in 10th. When it comes to Cremonese, they sink down to 14th on 23 points, level with 15th place Parma and 16th place Torino. So that is how quickly things change in football, man.
Yes, so let's briefly talk about Lecce Lazio. So Lecce are the lowest scoring team in the league. They've only scored 13 goals. While Lazio, just to make this very complicated, had only recorded 1 win in their last 7 match days. In general, yes.
Madonna,
so this
man.
was a little bit of a weird one from the get-go. I'm not going to do lineup reads. I'm going to skip that and get straight to it. This was a game that was played by two sides desperate for confidence, and it showed. Lecce came out sharper. They were more aggressive and they were willing to take risks. And inside a minute, they were already threatening, with Provedel working early. Lecce controlled the first half. They pressed high. They won second balls, and they actually looked like a team with a plan. Ramadani's strike smashed the underside of the crossbar, and it pretty much summed up the whole day for Lecce. It was just inches from relief, but they couldn't quite get it. Lazio were flat, they were cautious, they were scared, really scared to lose, to be honest. And the first real chance didn't come until the hour mark, where Zaccagni burst, and other than that, they didn't really sustain any structure whatsoever. The second half opened up a little bit. Lecce kept shooting, Lazio kept waiting. Khedira slipped on his debut, by the way. Sotil tested Provedel, and both sides were flirting with a late winner, but none of them really earned it. And yes, the final minute captured the match perfectly. It was really messy, it was rushed, and there were 2 half chances that went nowhere, and that pretty much sums up the entire game. But what I do want to talk about, brother, is we know Lecce, of course, are a team that's very that's like family run almost. I guess you can say that it's a small organization that runs Lecce. They don't mind getting relegated because they prioritize the financial aspect, and they want to run a sustainable operation. We know this. It's been said literally by the president of Lecce. So for them, it's not the end of the world if they go down. Once again, they get their parachute payment. They've been in Serie A for a while. They get their money. They come back up, and they continue to be this side that's just constantly surviving like this, by the skin of their teeth, as they say. Lazio, on the other hand, are currently in full meltdown, man. So this was meant to be the last game for Romagnoli, who they were selling for like 10 million. He got a lucrative offer from Qatar. He would have become very wealthy, or from Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia, actually.
I think Qatar.
Yes.
I think Qatar.
One or the other. I'm not sure. But he was meant to be leaving. He saluted the fans. He was clapping, and he looked emotional. And the fans were chanting his praise and chanting against Lotito, while Romagnoli was applauding them while they were chanting against Lotito. Then they asked another player, like, was this Romagnoli's last game? He said, I think so. So, like, it was obvious, like, that it was going to be his last game. Statement comes out the next day, Romagnoli's not leaving, and he has 2 years on his contract, and he will stay at Lazio. They have been handling these situations extremely insensitively, man. Now, did you hear the latest one, man, with the Lazio media communication? They're suing the Curva Sud. Because, sorry, not Curva Sud, I don't know what they're called. The Curva, the fans of Lazio. The Lazio fans basically put out a statement telling people not to go to the stadium to support them because the club is in free fall. And Lotito is basically like, listen, you are trying to harm my brand, so I'm suing you. He's suing the people who bought record season tickets this season. You know what I mean?
Man, it is everyone at Lazio, this is how I see it. When I say everyone, I mean the players, the manager, and the fans against Lotito. Because how devastating is it? And we felt it a bit last season. When the person with the most power at your club is the person that is harming your club. So the guy that needs to make the decisions, the way I see him making his decisions is he's making the decisions like he's not gonna be there tomorrow.
Interesting.
So when
I
you
think
know
he
you're
will be there
leaving a
tomorrow.
job, you're leaving a job and you're like, let me fucking half-ass this email, let me stall this for 2 months, then it's the next person's fucking problem. Is it like he's trying to...
I can't see him selling. I can't see him selling, man. He's so...
he's running the club to the ground.
But maybe in his mind, he's building for the future. He knows they're not going to get relegated. So he's just making some changes, cashing in where he has to, and he's buying young profiles, in theory. It could be in his sick, twisted mind that this is fine.
But there's a time to do that, man.
There's just no respect. Last year, they came first in the group in the Europa League.
So maybe this season is a write-off because they had no transfer window. They're trying to make the funds back so they can have a more lucrative one next summer.
This was meant to be the market where they fixed their team. They didn't have a market before they had a transfer ban.
Exactly.
Because of bad administration, bad management.
So that's my point. Is it
Yes.
not like...
I don't know, man. I just feel like he's not fit to run anymore. And you see Lotito, he says everyone is leaving because of Sarri. And then Sarri comes out and he's like, listen, the players are crying, telling me like the club has no ambition, but they want to stay. You know what I mean? They want to stay with me, essentially, but they understand, they are aware that the club has no ambition. Tati and Guendouzi ran the moment they could.
Yes.
Guendouzi ran, landed, and lifted the trophy. He scored a goal and lifted the trophy immediately. Tati Castellan scored immediately for West Ham. I know this is kind of irrelevant, but it just goes to show right now that it's a little bit toxic at Lazio, and it's looking dire, man. And
when you're selling a company, the most important thing for the person buying the company are the profit margins. Is he trying to fix the profit margins before selling? You don't think so? You don't think it's sell because it's Lotito, and I completely get you.
I think he's too
much pride.
I think Lotito's the type of guy. The more you shout sell, the more he won't. You know, he'll be like, I built this club.
Is this not the motherfucker that falls asleep at the stadium?
Yes, he's always like this. He's always passed out. He's like Sleeping Beauty syndrome, except he's ugly.
Nah, man. He's good. It's time to go.
It's time to go. Yes. And it's time to go on to our voice note as well, I believe.
Yes, shall we do, before the voice note, I think we should do our...
predictions?
Predictions.
Yes, and I should
our
also
fantasy
mention where
league
Lazio are in the
updates.
table as
Yes.
well, to be honest, yes.
We'll get used to this. It's a bit of a new format.
Yes. Lazio are in 9th with 29 points, while Lecce are in 17th with 18 points, just 1 point off of that drop zone. Dun, dun.
Yes, relegation. Sorry, Lecce to get relegated or stay up, have your say, and smash the like button.
It turns into a football.
Let's start off like this. Prediction series, and then fantasy league update, and then the voice note.
Okay,
close
okay,
off on
okay.
the voice note and a little bit of chat.
Okay.
2 hours and a half in, which is pretty
Well.
much getting a bit of a standard right now. So, predictions. All right, so big week of football coming up, likes of Lazio, Genoa, Pisa, Sassuolo, Napoli, Fiorentina, Cagliari, Verona, Torino, Lecce, Bologna,
and
Milan.
We're currently, sorry, because we're going to repeat them anyway. It's currently 4-3 for you.
Yes, 4-3 for me.
you. Oof. Big one, a big week for me.
Correct. So here it says Bologna, Milan postponed, but then it has
gonna be
Bologna,
played, it's
Milan
gonna be
again.
played, yes,
So
yes.
that's weird.
Yeah, it just
Okay.
got postponed by 2 days.
You started last week. I started this week. Lazio, Genoa. For Lazio, Genoa, I'm gonna go. Genoa just a good comeback. Lazio on free fall. Lazio don't have to hold them though, ta? Draw. Pisa, Sassuolo.
Draw as well.
Draw as well. Napoli, Fiorentina. Napoli are not that bad though, eh? Napoli win.
Napoli win.
Cagliari Verona.
Cagliari win. Make it 3 in a row, baby.
They won't. Draw.
Probably not.
Torino Lecce. Good. It's not a draw. How can you keep saying draw all day, man? Draw.
I could have said draw for all of them. Draw as well for this one.
Bologna Milan, bro. Milan. Como Atalanta. Oh my god, what a game. Como Atalanta. My turn?
Yes.
I'm gonna be crazy, ta. I'm gonna be crazy.
You're gonna say Como.
Yes. God. Yes.
I'm gonna say draw.
Cremonese
Inter.
Parma Juve. I'm gonna go Juve. Udinese Roma.
I'll go draw, man.
Okay, then I'll go Roma win. Let's make it a bit different. Alright, so that's our prediction series. Reminder that I'm winning 4-3.
Christ.
Alright, on to our Fantasy League update now. This is a patron-only segment, and it's good to mention that if you become a patron today, you can enter our Fantasy League, and if you win our Fantasy League, you win a kit of your choice, a free kit of your choice, dare I say. And update, if you come second, you get a month free subscription on OnlyFans for Lazio's Falconer.
Yes.
I
And you
forgot his
cannot
name.
request a different one. Juan Bernabe.
Juan Bonerby.
Yes.
No, you can't request a different
No.
one. It has to be of Juan Bernabe.
You can't be like, can I have, and you mention one of these Madisons
no.
or these Skylers or whatever they are. No,
Madisons
only
and
Juan.
Skylers.
No Madisons and
No
Skylers.
Madisons and Skylers.
Daryl and Jonathan, our new patrons, if you would like to join the Fantasy Football League, I can still add you.
There's a good chance you'll catch up to Jake.
It's Hardy har.
Wanker.
You're wanker.
So, who had the best week? David Mastrobattista.
Terrible week for Lazio.
Yes.
Great week for Dave.
Exactly.
83.
83.5 points. 83 points was for 2 girls, 1 coupe. The Kwan, baby. Hit the Kwan. In third, MRN on 82 points. I don't know who MRN is. I'm going to be honest.
Matt, I think.
Matthias, yes.
Yeah. Not
Inter.
Matthias, Matt. It's Matt.
Oh, it's not Matthias,
I don't
MRN?
think so, no.
Okay. Matt.
Correct
Interbred.
us if we're wrong, of course.
Interbred on 81. That is, of course, Daniel. Boom. So those are the guys that had the best weeks. Of course, just a special mention goes to Hot Girl Summer, the love of your life, brother. With
That's not the love of my life.
What, washed up stoner JJ Yiri isn't
That's
the love of your
no,
life?
Yiri. I love Yiri, but he's not the love of my life.
That's
The love of
but
my life
Daddy, I
has
love
dropped to
Skamaka.
13th, and I'm embarrassed.
That's an ick.
Yes,
But
gross.
in first place, he's actually managed to increase the gap over Interior Mom.
Mind the gap.
Katana Choke Me Maxi on 1,647.5 points. He's 7.5 points ahead of Inter Your Mom. I'm going to read the top 6. You'll see why soon. 2 girls, 1 coupe in third. Loco Choco Saul Coco in fourth. SSC Drees Nuts in fifth. And just 1 point behind them, showing how good this person is. Zanetti's asshole. Yeah, boy.
Brilliant.
Right here.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Not level on points with Giordano, 67. Alan, come back to Malta. Bring your son or your child. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Shit.
Christ, and he called it a net. It's a disaster.
Alan, sorry. Honestly, I love you so much. Next up, we have a voice note from our patron. One of our day ones. I can't show enough love to this guy. Matthias.
Or Matouche.
we did just realize 5 years in that his name might be Matush, but
We're calling him
that's Jake.
Matthias,
That's
yes.
Jake. I think his name is Matthias.
We'll go with Matthias.
Yes, Matthias
Please
is
confirm.
here about to educate us on Garibaldi and Udinese. So Matthias, our boy, take it away.
Okay, good morning, guys. Well, it's morning for me at least. I've just gotten my coffee ready and about to head to work and wanted to leave you guys a voice note prior to that. I hope you're doing fine. The voice note and the fact that I wanted to say something comes about from when I listened to last week's episode and you were talking about Garibaldi and who he was and stuff like that. So I wrote in the WhatsApp chat that perhaps I should leave a voice note telling you about who Garibaldi was, and Luca got very excited and I got a little bit nervous and thought, well, I don't really know that much about Garibaldi, and perhaps there are some military historian nerds in the group chat who will question my knowledge and the details of my account of him. But I'm leaving this anyhow, and I'm taking you from Garibaldi to an actual football topic. But just saying very quickly that, of course, Garibaldi was the general who was in charge of the army which sort of reunited Italy in the mid to late 19th century. It's quite an interesting story. He was the sort of guy in charge of the military campaign, and then there was this political figure, Victor Emmanuel II. And the background is quite complex politically, I won't get into it, but these two persons are sort of the symbols of the Italian unification in the 19th century, and therefore they have been sort of named. A lot of streets and plazas and arenas all over Italy are named after them. So whenever you get to any small Italian town, there's always a plaza or an avenue named after either the king or the general of Garibaldi. And I'm not that interested in sort of military history, but I like this story because a very good film, Italian film in the 1960s, from the 1960s called The Leopard, Il Gattopardo in Italian, sort of accounts this process. It's based on a novel, a Sicilian novel, which talks about sort of how Italy became one country, and it takes the perspective of an old Sicilian landowner family who are sort of living through this process and seeing the world modernize, and how sort of Sicily becomes a part of Italy and a part of Europe, and it's very beautifully filmed by an Italian director called Visconti. And in this film, which has a lot of lovely scenes, it has like a 45-minute ballroom scene, which is particularly epic. I think you can find it on YouTube if you really want to. There is this wonderful quote, which I really like and which I tend to return to. And it's my sort of transition into the actual football topic. The main character of the film and of the book is the Sicilian landowner patriarch, and he's out in the fields with his peasants and his servants, and one of them very worriedly asks him, what is going on in the world? Why is all this sort of happening? What will happen to us? And he looks into the sky and he says, something needed to change for everything to stay the same. Which I really like. I mean, it's a good quote. It's got this nice sort of Italian cynicism to it, that no matter what happens, things will probably be kind of like it used to be. And I tend to say that once in a while, even though the world is changing in a way right now where you actually wonder if things are going to stay the same. But that's another topic. I don't want to get Tim's wrath for talking politics in this content. But on the topic of sort of something needed to change for everything to stay the same, I watched Udinese play last night. And as you know, Udinese changed their owners this summer, and you sort of get the feeling when you look at that whole process and sort of how Udinese has developed in the last 10 to 15 years that occasionally things are changing, but most of the times they are changing in a way where everything kind of stays the same. And watching Udinese last night, made me think of that as well. They were playing Verona, and Verona are basically playing like a Serie B side right now. So the fact that they kind of demolished them with 3-1 doesn't say that much, because I think Verona was very, very bad, or at least very bad, perhaps not very, very bad. And Udinese played the way they used to play. They played like very physically. They moved kind of quickly on the wings, and they have these like dominant players like Davis and Atta and Soleil, who can sort of overpower a lot of the more nifty midfielders, which Zanetti's Verona has always been kind of fond of. But I think they're a good side, Udinese, at the moment, and I think that they are doing something which is kind of similar to Udinese. They don't have that money, sort of. They're very interesting to look at in comparison to Como, where you have all these creative minds who are figuring out together, while in Udinese's case you have more of the power and the physical sort of presence. But at the same time you can also see them, because I noticed that they put Atta, who I really like. I think he's one of the breakout players of this season, even though he hasn't gotten that much attention, except for in sort of like these kinds of places such as Serie A spotlight. But I think Atta, he's a very good player. He's a very sort of classic Udinese player, that he can do almost everything. He's physical, he can defend a little bit, he can attack, he can pass, he can shoot. You could sort of see him being bought for 30 million euros and going to either Juventus, Inter, Milan, and being one of a pretty good players, perhaps not a star player. And they're putting him higher up the pitch, almost as like in a left forward role next to Davis. In one way, I think, to get him to score more and get and produce more points, so they can boost his price. But also, which I thought was notable yesterday, even though, as I said, the opponents were quite weak, I think they also are doing it to try to get Miller on the pitch more often, because Jesper Karlström, who is playing sort of the regista role at Udinese, he's a good Swedish player. I like him. But he's not, I mean, he's reliable. He's very Scandinavian in that sense. He's reliable, he's got pretty good feet, he's a good captain, but he's not a great talent, and I think Miller actually is, and I think they want to sort of like get that kind of player on the midfield, even though they are not using him that much, because they're not building the play around him. It's mostly going through the wing backs as usual with Udinese, but occasionally he can do like sort of nifty things there. And Miller is quite young. He's 19-20, I think, and he's a Scottish talent, so of course he will gather a lot of interest from Premier League clubs and from other kinds of clubs, which of course will be sort of, from an economic or business perspective, quite interesting for Udinese. But since they changed owners, they are pretty much doing the same thing. At least what I'm seeing, they haven't really done that much in this winter mercato yet. But there are a lot of teams who haven't really done that much yet, so we don't really know what could happen. But they are sort of doing the usual Udinese thing, which is of course trying to buy talents from places where perhaps not all other teams are looking. Some of the some of the lesser known markets in South America, such as Chile, Colombia, some of the areas around the Balkans, which are very close to Udine, such as Slovenia, Croatia, stuff like that. And now also looking towards the British Isles, where they have had this connection with Watford for quite a long time. At the same time, you could also feel that Udinese's possibility of progressing in the Serie A are quite limited, since the top 8 is kind of stacked at the moment. Atalanta are still doing very well, not at least from a sort of economic perspective. Como is, of course, like running through this league and really doing something quite unusual. Bologna did that just like a couple of years ago. Now they have been they're in a bit of a slump, but Bologna is a big city in Italy, so I mean, once they get that market going and get a new arena or the current arena renovated, they will be fine again. And Sassuolo are back, and I mean Fiorentina should do better. So I mean you could argue that it's kind of hard to see Udinese, no matter what they do, climb that much higher than perhaps 8th, 9th, 7th in a good year. I don't see them being able to challenge for Europe unless something very unusual happen. And returning sort of to this, what could actually be the unusual thing which could happen in Udinese? We know that it probably won't happen. They will probably play kind of the same way, which they have always played. But I wanted to end this voice note by throwing out 3 scenarios for what they could be doing, and perhaps asking you to rank them in which way you think would be most likely, or the sort of most drastic change, or which you sort of like the most. You're open to interpret this in the way you find most stimulating. But the first option would be for them to go even younger, sort of like to try to, a little bit like Parma is doing, looking for 18, 19-year-olds, trying to get them playing time. I noticed during their summer camp that they had this very young defender called Palma, who is in Sampdoria now, who I think is born in 2008. And you could see that if they could get a player like that some actual playing time and some breakthrough, that would probably make it possible for them to make a transfer similar to the Leone transfer in the summer, where Parma got a lot of money. So that could be one way, because there's not that much other teams in Italy doing exactly that. A lot of teams are going younger, but not sort of like the teenager route anymore. So that could be one option. The other option could be to actually try to invest. The fact that we have these new owners, even though the Pozzos are still on the managerial board, from what I've understood, that they actually are investing capital and trying to go for a European run, and or climb a couple of spots in the Serie A pecking order, so to speak. That feels very unlikely, but I mean it could happen. Do you think that's alternative B, so to speak? And alternative C, which you could argue is sort of what they're doing now, is to try to look even more for sort of English, Scottish, Irish talents, because the British Isles are producing a lot of young players. Some of them are finding their way into the championship, but after a couple of years they might want to try another route, find another kind of adventure, get more playing time. And Udinese have been kind of good to find those kinds of players in Davis, of course, in Miller, who are a bit younger. I think Okoye is from the British Isles as well, even though he's a Nigerian international. But that could be one way to go about it as well, trying to sort of find these, become more like a British colony in the northeast of Italy. Not sure really what that would mean for them, if this would mean that they would be able to find better players and produce better results sports-wise, or if it would just be a business plan that they perhaps could offload these players a bit. This could be profitable, is what I'm meaning. Yeah, so these are sort of my thoughts on Udinese, and I wanted to hear your thoughts as well. Of course, I could have talked a little bit more about the Roma-Milan game, but I'm expecting you to cover that quite in depth, and I also just talked about Roma last week, so I didn't want to get into that as well. Other than that, I hope you're all doing fine. The weather in Sweden is super cold, so I'm really looking forward to springtime and not just staying in and watching football. So have a nice one, guys. See you.
What we're hoping for, Mattias, is that we have a good summer, so we can be out drinking and watching the World Cup. It's gonna be one of those summers which we're very excited for.
Don't let my t-shirt deceive you. It's quite cold here as well.
It's freezing here. It's freezing, at least for Maltese standards. When it gets cold, it gets really
we had
humid.
ice for the first time, I think, in my life.
Yes, and we had
proper with children making
horrific floods as well. But anyway, I think. Mattias, firstly, thank you for the voice note. Now we know who Garibaldi is, which is awesome, but even your insight on Udinese is it's a very fair assessment for what I see. It is interesting to see that even, for example, with Atalanta, who had a change in ownership, we didn't really see any drastic changes in how they were bringing in players and how they were operating. And I guess it's because teams like Atalanta, teams like Udinese, teams like Bologna, etc. These are teams that have found a profitable formula, a formula that is essentially working for them within their own limits. Now, there's a huge difference, obviously, between what Atalanta are doing and what Udinese are doing. But I think it's because Atalanta are so many years ahead in the project. To jump to the rankings, if you're happy to jump there. What I'll say is, I think a scenario that maybe you didn't touch upon too much is, so from an investment perspective, I don't think they'll be investing in signing 40 million talents, 50 million talents, or the likes. I think their investments will be very internal when it comes to the training ground, the youth setup. These are all things that with new ownership they can perhaps focus on a little bit more, to focus on their homegrown talent. So that's the thing that I expect the most when it comes to Atalanta. It's more the infrastructure within the club that will be invested on rather than talents. I think when it comes to talents, they'll essentially keep doing what they're doing. Obviously, with a cash injection, it allows them to do it a bit more freely and without anything holding them back. So focusing on the British Isles is always really good, because English names among the Premier League are very marketable. So if you have a Davis who has a 10-goal season, then Davis is going to be worth fucking 30 to 40 million in the Prem, especially with an English surname and English citizenship, etc. I could imagine the people from the UK horning out on Davis already. So I think that's a great way to do it. And the same goes with Italian names for Italian clubs. So if they were to bring up someone like a young Italian, who I believe they have a great young Italian talent. I don't know where he is right now.
Lorenzo Lucca is a good example.
Lorenzo Lucca is a good example, but they have this ambidextrous one, Pafundi. To bring more Pafundis, and these are the Pafundis that, much like the Davises that will be sold for 30 million, 40 million to the Prem, the Pafundis will go to Juve, will go to Inter, will go to Milan, will go to Napoli. So I think it's a fair kind of mix of all the scenarios that he gave, but the investment, I think, will be very internal.
Yeah. So first of all, Udinese, I'm sure most people know, they actually own their own stadium, right? They have an agreement with the city of Udine. They have a 99-year lease agreement. So that's great. That's already a massive advantage that they have over other clubs. And I feel like the three options that you gave, Matt, need to go kind of hand in hand. Of course, I love the idea of going younger, but they kind of have a combination of all the things that you've mentioned recently, apart from the investing of capital. And that's something that I don't think, and I don't see Udinese bringing in established players. And that kind of goes as well with the fact that they have no appeal. Like, they own their own stadium, but it's hardly ever full. So I feel like there needs to be a change in almost brand and in the identity and what it means to support Udinese, to actually attract people to come to the stadium. Fill up the stadium. That's number one priority. How can you fill up the stadium? You bring in exciting young talents. I love that. I like the idea of bringing in English, Scottish and Irish talents, obviously within reason, right? Because Italians want to see Italians, and there is actually a massive market, and Italian players are often too expensive for what they actually give you. So that could be a massive advantage. So I think go younger is a great shout, and I think they're already doing it, to be honest with you, because the team is quite young in itself, and it has been for a while. They've had a core that is about 25, 24 for a while now, and then they play the odd teenager here and there. But I think there's a long-term process that needs to see them maybe give players a bit more time, so till they hit that 30 million mark before selling them for 8-9 million, being the first club to sell them. Actually give them some time and develop them. And invest. If your stadium is suddenly full every week and the club has a decent reputation and it comes across as ambitious, you're more likely to actually attract names. Before, they would have De Paul and they'd give him away. They would have Molina and they'd give him away. They would have Di Natale and they're lucky because Di Natale is extremely happy to be there. You know what I mean? If they change their ways, and maybe they can bring in some big players in the get-go. But I think that right now it's actually going quite well for Udinese. They have Runjaj, who's a coach I like. He's very adaptable. He's a great coach. And they're in 10th. And once again, the same argument we made for Bologna, right? The teams above them are probably the teams you'd expect to be above them.
Yeah.
So I think it's going quite well for Udinese right now.
For sure. And I think would they have been able to get the likes of Zaniolo with Pozzo, for example? Because I'm quite sure Zaniolo's on quite a wage. So
that
even
was another...
even these fines, like the guys that are in the Turkish leagues, the guys that have had an injury that they can use, like with Zaniolo, it turned out really well for them. I guess they'll have the capacity to do that a little bit more and focus on youth, yes. But if you're focusing on youth, obviously having some experience around them always helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matthias,
I
thank
love
you very
the
much.
quota. Something needs to change for everything to stay the same. I love that.
There's what it reminded me of is I forgot how the quote goes exactly, but you have to climb the mountain to notice that you were better off where you were. So like a lot of people would like make a jump to like climbing the mountain or like running the marathon or this and that, only to notice that where they were was actually better. It's very different to staying where you were all the time, leaving and then noticing it was more valuable,
The grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Yes, that's what it reminded me of. But thank you very much, Matthias. I'm sure we gave Nick a new film recommendation as well.
One last
thank
scream,
you.
Nick. For the episode, give us a scream. Another one. I want to hear.
Very good. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. We'll be back same time next week, same format, same everything. See you all. Love you all so much. Ciao, ciao.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.